Hey, everybody. Good morning. Oh, happy Friday. Welcome to Cancel This. We're live. We're awake. We're ready. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed for Cancel This. Hello, hello, hello as we end the week here. This is CancelTheShow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson, and Scott Gherkin. Ready to bring you. We're a 7-ish start time central. 7-ish all the way to 10 o'clock. Gosh, that's the best part of this podcast. Not only do we get the live aspect of it, we produce our original content, but we start when we want to, and you guys love what we do, and you're here.
we start when we want to, especially after a party.
Especially after a party, and damn, Eric's in studio as well to kick it off. Guys, when Cancel This was born, and we started to put everything together, it was Tabitha, the party girl, shot girl, shot. She's like, well, we can have a party. Well, the Cancel This Kickoff bash was last night, 1 week late. And I'm sorry to all the people who couldn't make it because so many people were traveling. I think I had 15 people contact me from different groups. Man, we're traveling. A lot of people travel right after Christmas for the New Year's. I was like, I know, but we got to work around Eric's schedule, man.
Why? Come on.
He plays Platinum Rock Legends.
Why you blame it on me?
We'll have more parties.
But with that being said, we had the party at Winty's last night. 10 out of a 10, right, guys?
It was
at least
phenomenal. There were so many people there. It was hard to even walk around. It was so crowded. I talked to so many different people. I am so happy to have met all of you folks. It was really nice.
I've done radio. I guess they're called remotes in the industry, or they're meet and greets or whatever they are. And most of them, they'll send you to like a little Mexican restaurant, so you can meet the crew, and it's usually
oh my God, that's great.
It's the host and the producers over there, and there's like 4 people that come out and say, "Hey, I like your show," and you're like, "Hey, thanks, man." That wasn't last night. That was a lot of like-minded individuals.
It was
that are way more educated on everything we talk about than I am, and I'm like, God, what it is, it's people. I find out that the stuff that we talk about, they're out there, and they are the soccer moms that we talk about, and they are the ones that have they want to look for people that are like, am I going nuts, or is this country and this world going to hell in a handbasket? And they're looking for other like-minded individuals, and that's to me what last night was all about.
No question. It's a community. It really is a community, because all of these folks who are on the comment line, specifically on Facebook, they all enjoy meeting each other as well. It's phenomenal.
Well, this is this big show that we're doing. It's getting larger by the day, and the people who were there last night, that's the grassroots effort of where this started 3 years ago, really, with radio, our endeavor at the Edge, Tabitha's endeavor with her former radio station, my endeavor and work with people when I worked with Fox 2.
Yeah,
and Derek Pratt is who built and put together our coolies. We've got a lot of merchandise coming. And I was asked at least 4 or 5 times last night where people could purchase stuff.
Absolutely. So
they love the logo. They love the merchandise. And Derek put this little wood signing piece together. If you didn't get a chance to sign this, you're welcome anytime to come on up and sign it. But I appreciate everybody signing it. Can you see that on camera? Does that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can see it.
Better that than my face the Friday after party. That's for sure. I was like, man, makeup's not going to do much this morning. But anyway, thank you for signing this. This means so much to us at Cancel This, and people taking the time to write it on there. The best one says, F you in a good way. There's also a big heart with 2 people's name in the middle. I won't say whose that is.
Gee.
But I know Eric likes to draw hearts wherever he goes.
That wasn't mine.
But thank you guys. Love this. This rocks. a start of where we're going, because this show is going to get bigger
Yeah.
and better, as it is every day, because the show continues to grow just in our 5th week. And arguably, this is probably our biggest show that we've had so far. And with that being said, we got, let me put that down there.
I thought I just lost your mic.
I know, I did
you
too.
leaned over. I'm like, what
So
happened?
Sorry. I'm a little slow today.
Can we backtrack to those cups?
Yeah, let's go to
What
the
cups? Oh, those cups.
Our cancel this cups. I
Yeah.
handed out quite a few of them, and I promised a few folks more of them. But I will tell you what, they are amazing. I took some of them out of the box and looked at them as I was handing them out. They are fantastic. Did you see there's some new ones that are white?
White and silver. There's one that's bedazzled.
The sparkle one. Yeah, everyone was
we
raving
need
about that.
more of those. We need more of the bedazzled.
Derek Pratt, and I don't know if you could put your phone up. No, he's got, if you have one of these, his logo is there, but it's Derek Pratt.
Derek, get busy making some more of those.
Derek also has one. If you check out his website, we'll get it to you. It spins on a little platform.
Oh, no way. Are you serious?
And the silver. Anyway.
I love the silver. Derek, if you're listening, I'm going to get a hold of you. I want a sparkly blue one.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be pretty with black letters?
It would be pretty, Tabitha Hassel.
We need many more of those. Many more of those made.
So we appreciate everybody joining us last night. We'll do more of these parties. We'll do remotes. We've got lots of plans in the mix. This isn't just a 2-month plan or a 2-year plan. This is a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan for a massive broadcasting platform here, not just for our show, but others as well. People already inquiring about jumping in the studio, being a part of what we do as well. Now I have to get a whole lot more intelligent to try to put all this stuff together.
I feel the same way. After talking to you guys last night, you make me feel so stupid.
Just last night? Sorry, Eric. I'm just teasing.
Hey,
Scotty.
That's why I sit back and I just be quiet.
I've got energy and I get riled up about all these topics, but the people that I met last night are just intellectual. I'm serious.
There's no question about
what
it.
we do and what we talk about, and people are worried for the right reasons. And I'm like, oh my God, you're literally scaring me, because they know they're like Tabitha, only not crazy. And I'm telling you right now, so I feel like I do need to get up to speed on a lot of this stuff and not just be so rah-rah about it.
You do need to get up to speed, because I'll tell you what, Eric, the people out there, and I think a lot of the reason why they come to the show and they're drawn to the show is because we tell people the truth, the truth you're not going to hear anywhere else. And sometimes it sounds like doom and gloom, but you know what? That is the world we live in today, unfortunately. And then what I love about you is you come up with ways to try to solve that. It's
I'm confused about it all.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm always over here saying, well, these are the problems. And you're like, hey, why can't we do this? And that's why we all work together. So
everybody has something that worries them about what's happening in the
world.
Everybody, most of the people that you talk to in the St. Louis area, and we were talking to a teacher last night, what's going on in the schools, the liberalism. A lot of people in St. Louis are just knocked down, worried about it. They don't want to hear liberalism is in their school. They don't want to hear that the CRT crap is being taught. They don't want to see their kids being exposed. So that's one thing. Some might be the taxation, the overtaxation, the destroying of our dollars. Some people are thinking on a 3,000-foot level, what is going on around here? And I think that everybody's kind of wandering through the wilderness, and we kind of find each other.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what this is all about. We're going to bring up topics, and we're going to talk through them. And I think that speaks to what Vic always talks about. Media's dead.
It is.
Traditional Lester Holt, Tom Brokaw media is dead. You played your card. You lied to us. We found out about it. Now we must go into the wilderness, find other people to get the real news around here. The Fauci's, look, this is an era right now, especially with this Santos guy. Do you know who the Santos story?
Of course.
Up in New York. It's just, he was a major liar.
Yes,
Republican. He's a guy that won office over lying to get into office, really embellishing everything in his life.
And he's not the only one.
And I think that is really, that's frustrated a lot of people. And it's really put this huge spotlight on. We are tired of our government, who's supposed to be transparent, lying about everything. And once you get in office, you just destroy things. You're just like a big blender. And I think people are starting to find out now.
The tides are turning. Did you guys see
I
this?
do. I think
Did you
you're
see
right.
this tweet I sent out to you guys this morning?
Yeah.
A copy of it is phenomenal. Desert Cat shared this, and it said it's now in vogue to be a conspiracy theorist. And this was a tweet from Dr. Adam Anovitz.
Yeah. And he's been canceled on Twitter.
He has, and he
But he was canceled in July. So I'm like, wait a second, Elon, let's get Doc back on.
Yeah.
exactly. And what
But-
he tweeted out, he said, "Shut up, journalists. You had your chance. I want to
Oh,
hear
damn.
more from the conspiracy theorists. They have a better track record."
Yeah.
Well, that's what this show was all about.
Hallelujah.
And that's what this show was born in. It's getting all sides out, getting the truth out, not being afraid to be canceled for speaking truth in what you go in regards to the politics, the news headlines, the commentary, and the society that we deal with. With that being said, we have tons of original content already in our show in 5 weeks. We're live 7-ish to 10, Monday through Friday. And then, of course, you can go back and check out our podcast. Go to cancelthisshow.com.
Our podcast.
Yeah, the podcast. Cancelthisshow.com. Cancelthisshow.com. Share it. We have all of the platforms that you can watch on right there. And then you move forward. You can listen to the audio too. If you're not somebody that wants to watch the show on video, you can go check it out in audio afterwards too. We have that up later in the day as well. But share whatever you like. YouTube, Rumble, go there, like, subscribe. That helps out the show. It gets it out to more people so that the show continues to grow. With that being said, this is arguably one of our biggest shows today. Ironically, it's right after we all got a combined 12 hours of sleep between 4 of us. I think 4 of us might have gotten 12 hours of sleep.
I didn't get home till after 1 a.m. I don't even know why I tried to sleep.
And we did have to do a couple of housekeeping notes real quick about the party from last night. Major kudos, Robert Peterbaugh from Michigan.
Oh, yes.
Because we have audience all over the globe, but Michigan, another place where I spent 11 years as a TV newscaster. But Robert Peterbaugh called Wenty's in advance, and you shouldn't have had a tab at the bar.
I did not.
Eric, you should not have had to pay anything.
I know I didn't.
There you go. Scott had his own bill, but
Well, I ordered a bunch of food and
Okay.
stuff too. We were sharing, but we sat down, we ordered a couple beers, we had some food, and I looked at her. I said, "Well, it's on us now, Robert." And thank you so much,
Robert
That was-
Peterbaugh
Thank you, Robert.
gave us a nice sum of money to take care of us last night. Not only did he give us money to take care of our bills, listener, but he also tipped I don't know, probably 30-40% on what he gave us.
That was
Wow.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's a rock
Very
star.
classy.
That's rock
Thank you
star.
so
to
much.
take and you guys have never met him. I met Robert in Michigan, 1 or 2 times, but he's a loyal listener, loyal viewer. And when my situation went down with Fox 2 2 days before it happened, he had messaged me out of the blue, and he's like, "Something great's going to happen." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Something great's going to happen for you." And then 2 days later, boom, that's my situation. I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "You're an evil dude." Anyway,
Oh, he's
so
a bit of a psychic, is he?
yeah, maybe. Da, da, da.
That
So,
was so incredibly sweet of you, Robert. Thank you so much.
so Robert, thank you. We appreciate you. And of course, even though you do not trust or like Elon Musk right now,
Yeah, and I've seen Robert say that.
we are more
Along with some
positive
other
about
folks.
Elon. Definitely right now. We still love you and we thank you.
You
for
know,
that.
I think there's a lot of people out with Elon that are like, if it's too good to be true, then it's not true.
Well,
That's my
and
stance.
I think that's how a lot of people feel about Elon right now.
Well, the World Economic Forum removed Elon from their website. He used to be on their website. Like, if
course
you
they
want to
did.
follow
Genius.
Elon Musk, follow him here. They completely removed his name this week.
he probably asked for it.
That's because Bill Gates asked for it.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
with George Soros in the back wings.
By the
saying,
way, if anybody knows Elon, we'd still love to interview him. Give him a fair shot here.
That's right.
You
Maybe
know
if
what?
enough people
We're
message him.
fantastic with the interviews. I mean, I
I
put us up
see-
against anybody.
I see Elon like in basement podcasts. You ever see Elon get interviewed?
That's his
Every-
style, though.
Every time he gets interviewed, he's like in someone's garage. Like,
we
hey,
look
what's
too good for that.
No, maybe. But you
I
never
mean,
see.
Scott's got us looking amazing here in the studio.
I know it's like you never see him with like the major media. It's like tonight we have Lester on Lester Holt reports as Elon's story. You never see him on
He's-
60 Minutes,
No,
You never
I don't
see him
think
with
he cares
Leslie
about any of
Stahl,
that.
but
He-
you'll see him like on Jason and Alfred's
that's right.
basement podcast.
He does. He's big on Clubhouse. There's a site out there called Clubhouse, and I see him do a lot of interviews out on Clubhouse. He's been on Twitter forever.
Yeah.
But I think it's so wild that the WEF removed him from
That
their
is
website.
amazing.
if that hopefully should
Well,
tell some folks something.
The other thing I wanted to get into today, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it in this last week, but one of our other loyal listeners, Rosa McLean,
Yes.
she passed away at the end of last week. And I can tell you this, I don't think I'd ever met anybody who prayed for me or my kids more than Roz. She was also a loyal listener
Yes,
from the
she
moment
was.
that we started here. Loved all of us. She was our ultimate caller.
Well, yes, she was.
We used, and so I pray for her soul. And the funny thing about Roz is, if people didn't know, by the end of Roz calling in, we used to put a stopwatch on her calls. I would click it to see how long she would talk without taking a breath.
Yeah.
And she would go on and on because she loved the show so much.
Yeah.
So I say that affectionately, that we appreciate all of you, especially Roz, who finally passed away. She was dealing with a lot of things that we had no idea with, but
Correct.
she was loyal, and she's another example of what all you guys are in this project.
And man, here's the deal with her. She's another one of those people that when she started talking, we would put her on the clock. Every word that came out of her mouth was dead on accurate.
Oh,
That's
yes.
I was like, I get it, Roz. You're going crazy, but holy crap, you're really making a lot of sense. Seriously, she would call and she'd be passionate about everything she would talk about.
I agree. And Vic, she especially loved you.
Mhm.
I know she liked us also. She would also
she tolerated
and
us.
she would bounce around. When I left you guys, she would come over there a
She
little
loved
bit.
you. Yeah, she
And
loved
she'd
you.
call in over there, and then she'd call in with you guys.
Yeah.
She felt so torn back and forth. But Vic, ultimately, you are the one. She absolutely loved you.
And when it speaks of death, and it's amazing because we have a psychic on today, and I'm so excited about that.
That's going to
But
be in the 9 o'clock hour.
Is
Top
this
of the 9 o'clock
is
hour.
this
by
the
way.
new trend where people legitimately feel happy when certain people when people pass away? They're like, they're on a journey now. They're where they're supposed to be.
That's
It never
what
used to be that way.
No,
It never used to be
it's-
that way.
No, it's always been that way.
No.
Life is meant to die. You are
Save
meant
it
to live and die.
for the 9 o'clock hour.
I will.
We've got Shannon on. We got
I
to
will.
talk to her at 9 o'clock. Whether you agree, disagree, we've got a couple varying points in here. And that's why we have Shannon, the medium, the psychic, coming on in the 9 o'clock hour. She's getting up early from California. So she's joining us from California. And then at 8:05, I am so psyched because we have a massive national guest. He did Joe Rogan, so he's going to do Cancel This. It makes sense, right?
Well, yeah.
2 peas in a pod.
I mean, come on. That's what our goals are. We have high goals. We have a good product, and we're trying to bring you the best that we can. Dr. Joel Kahn, I'm very excited about him. He will be joining us at the top of our 8 o'clock hour. Cardiologist, wealth of knowledge. We'll promote his website to let you know, number one, why he was canceled for his take on masking, which unfortunately is back in the news. We'll get into that in just a little bit. His COVID stance, he was canceled. Didn't care. I'm coming after you. And he is dead set on an organic diet. He's going to tell us why.
Well, that should be obvious. I can't wait to hear that because you know about the Franken food that we are eating. There is nothing natural about any of the food you're buying at the grocery store.
It sounds like a new restaurant at the mall.
Franken
food.
Well, that's
in the food court.
It's not quite McDonald's, but it's kind of
It
McDonald's.
sounds like a pretzel beer place.
well. If you buy groceries at the grocery store, that's what you're getting. Sorry, that's what you're getting. And next week we're going to talk to a guy, by the way, who is a big part of the farmers markets here in the area and where they have real food.
Yeah.
Next week's a massive week of guests. We got farmer we're talking about with food supply issues going on. We're going to talk to a 21-year-old conservative podcast kid. He goes to Ole Miss. Who else do we have?
I have a surprise for you guys.
Is that? Can I say
next week?
Can I say something?
You don't even know his name.
I thought we're talking with somebody. I thought we're talking with Navy SEALs next week.
Well, yes, but
And this is on top of that.
No, this is what I'm talking about. It's the surprise for everyone.
Okay.
Charlie Strange, who is a SEAL Team 6. He's a Gold Star father. So SEAL Team 6, as we know, is the team that went in to kill Osama bin Laden. And as we know, almost every member of SEAL Team 6 has been killed. And so Charlie Strange is going to join us, and he is going to talk about his son, Michael Strange, who was a member of SEAL Team 6, who was killed when the helicopter went down over Afghanistan. And Charlie Strange is also the same guy. He's phenomenal. I've talked to him numerous times, where he changed because of the lawsuit. He placed a lawsuit against Obama and the White House. And because of that, because they lied to him about his son's death, and they were spying on him. The NSA was spying on Charlie Strange and his family. They were hacked into his wife's laptop, taking photos of his wife on her own laptop without her knowledge. And so he sued the government over this.
Yeah.
He won because they did it. And then Obama changed the law so that the government can now spy on us legally.
Well, that's
I
some
cannot
good news for
wait.
Friday.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
job,
I can't
Tab.
wait. We got that. Plus, we've also got Ian McFarland with Modern Weapon Systems. That's Monday right out of the gate at 8 a.m. So Ian McFarland with Modern Weapon Systems on Monday at 8 a.m. So we continue to bring you the guest on a daily basis, and we're grateful for
And
that.
hopefully we're going to be joined by Colonel Joe Adams again as
And
well.
we got Colonel, man, we've got so much going on
Love
here,
it.
but that's what we want to do with Cancel This. Before we get to Joel Kahn, Dr. Joel Kahn, cardiologist, coming up at 8 o'clock. Go figure, Eric, this is going to blow your freaking mind.
Okay.
There are now health experts recommending masking again.
Oh, of course.
You can't make this stuff up because they said we're getting hit with a triple threat.
Oh, flus are down.
Well, I figured
it's
COVID.
RSV, flu, and COVID. And here's the thing. Remember how we talked about China the other day?
Oh boy.
And I was trying to tell you guys there's something weird going on in China because I'm seeing all of these videos with bodies stacked up and all of this crazy stuff. And the mortuaries are full. And I'm like, what in the world is taking place? And sure enough, early this morning, I saw an article coming. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Forbes or MS, I don't know, whoever wrote it. And they were saying there's a new deadly COVID variant in China.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. And
Wait a minute. Is this, I don't want to make fun of it. Is
Yeah.
this you think it's serious or not?
I don't know if it's propaganda or if it's serious, but I do know that I've seen these videos just like before COVID came here the first time, where you see people collapsing in the street. They are claiming that hundreds of people are dying every day in China right now because of this new COVID variant. And it made sense when I read this article, but that doesn't mean it's not propaganda. And of course, now we started testing anyone who travels to the United States from China, they're being COVID tested. And so now they're saying here in the United States, we may need masks again because there's this new deadly COVID strain out there.
Okay.
We know where this is going, don't we? That doesn't mean we're going to do it because we're not going to do it. We're going to resist. We learned the first time, didn't we?
Did you?
Yes. Yes. I almost never wore a mask the first
my
time
eyes
around.
glaze over every time you bring up COVID or anybody brings up COVID. Seriously, I don't know
So,
I don't know how
me
to get
too.
excited about it anymore.
Well, there's nothing to be
You know?
excited
No,
about.
it's not a thing about being excited. It's what the hell's going on.
I
and
despise talking about COVID, but you know what? But we have to talk about it because
we do,
there's no
unfortunately, Eric.
question they're going to start bringing restrictions back. It is going to happen. That doesn't mean we're going to listen. It doesn't mean it's going to be successful, but they are going to try.
It's called COVID-22, by the way.
Yeah, we can see
It
the
is.
writing
Who-
on the wall when they're already
Is it
saying.
really?
Yeah.
Who's gonna try to bring national health experts?
I think the government is going to start bringing. Well, they're already bringing masking back to federal different types of federal buildings, federal parks, and we know the St. Louis Arch. You have to wear a mask. Obviously, most hospitals you have to wear a mask, etc.
Well, it seems like it's time that we talk to somebody who actually sees this stuff. Another physician, maybe, because this article from the Sun is written in August of 21. It says COVID-22 could be more deadly than the Delta variant. Well, of course, we've been living in a world of coulda, shoulda, woulda, and it seems like it's time. I mean, I don't see anything in St. Louis County. Do you? Are the morgues filling up over
No.
in St. Louis County right now?
a lot
Not
of
from
people,
COVID.
a lot of people are very ill right now with RSV and the
RSV
flu.
seems to be getting a lot of people.
Yes.
Tabitha, you're right. And you know what?
Even adults are right now
The
getting
flu
RSV,
is
which
trending
is
down.
crazy.
Did you guys see that? The
The-
flu is trending
I did
down.
not see that.
RSV is trending down.
Flu is out
COVID
of
is
control right
I don't
now.
know of anybody that has COVID. Do you know?
Well, there are people still dying from COVID. I mean, or dying with COVID, I should say. You know, that's never stopped, but I've not seen this new deadly strain here. I do believe that different strains do.
Here, you know what?
get
I
thrown
think it
out
is.
here and
Here's
there.
the deal. So, yeah, Biden can put his mandate together and he can go and say, it's time to put the mask on. Parkway Central students, let's get the mask on. I think what freaks more people out than anything is that if you start the conversation again, like Tabitha just did, and says, this new COVID strain can kill you if you just look at it wrong. then the masks go on by themselves.
Well,
and you see a lot of people
right.
get just scared out of their ass. And then people like myself, I don't know about you guys, you just go about your life not caring about it.
Well, I care. I care.
I don't. I just
But
don't.
Eric, think about
I
it this
can't hide
way.
around the door, in the back dark alleys anymore.
Well, I understand that, but think about it this way, and this is the way I think about it. COVID itself, I believe is such a mild strain right now, the Omicron or whatever it's called going around. I'm not worried about that. I probably had it 1,000 times and didn't even know. What does worry me is what are they doing in China? What have they released? Is it another bioweapon? Because I absolutely believe the first COVID was a bioweapon. Now, do we have they released another bioweapon?
If that's the case,
are they trying to reduce the population? Is that what this is all about? And you know what? It takes time for it to come from there to here. Yeah. Will it eventually be here? I don't know. And I will tell you, I mean, I don't wear masks. I had COVID. I didn't have any symptoms, but my son lost his dad to COVID. And there's no joke about that. Scotty had a really bad case of COVID.
He sure
People
did.
do get sick, unfortunately.
That's right, they do. But, what's happening in China is concerning.
What could be propaganda?
But to me, this is why I'm talking about this show being so important. Could it be, I'm just kind of going out on a limb here, could it be that you've locked down an entire 1 billion people and it didn't have a chance to burn through society? So there is no natural immunity in China.
We should already have herd immunity.
No.
China should have herd immunity. And a lot of people say, well, China was locked down for 2 years. That's not true.
Were.
No, they weren't.
They
were propaganda.
They were nailed into their.
No, they weren't. That was, you know what? Once in a great while, that was not common in China. Do you know
they locked down Shanghai, 30 million people.
I know they did.
It was a prison camp for 2 years.
Months. No, it was not. It was for 2 months.
Help me out over here, Scotty.
It was for 2 months. I just
Scotty
wrote a huge post about it on Facebook the other day. They locked down Wuhan City where the COVID began for, I think it was 76 days. And then they got people back to work. And then what ended up happening is they had in Beijing and Shanghai, I think that was in May 23rd, they started a lockdown there, May 23rd of 2022, this year. And people were locked down very strictly. Were they locked down? They couldn't get out of their homes. They were delivering food to them while they did all this massive testing. That lasted for 2 months. And then the people were released to go back about their lives. The rest of the country was running around free during that time. And then they locked them back down again around the end of September. And then now China has completely gotten rid of all COVID restrictions. People don't realize this because this is the propaganda you hear on mainstream news. China doesn't even have a vaccine mandate. The first vaccine mandate they had
you're talking vaccines. Do you like vaccines or not?
What?
Do you like vaccines? You haven't been vaccinated.
You know better than that.
But who cares? I mean, is the vaccination, do those vaccines work over in China? Do you think everybody over in China should get vaccinated?
87% is the national average of vaccinations in China. Here in the United States, 79%
are they
is
using
the vaccination
using
average.
the Moderna vaccine?
Oh, I have no idea.
No, it's a good question. Are they using their own Chinese?
I believe they have their own vaccine.
Okay, does it work?
I don't know.
Is there this might be a silly
it must
question.
not, because there are like thousands of people dying. They're claiming every
week. Is there still multiple vaccine companies making the vaccine?
Moderna,
or is it just
Pfizer
still?
And is Johnson & Johnson, or was that taken off market? See, we need to know about this. I don't want to spread misinformation.
Well, we're not. Look, first of all, I'm not spreading misinformation. And look at what Kathy Smith agrees with me. No, she said, actually, China locked down various regions of the entire country depending on COVID numbers. If the numbers reached over 100 in a certain province, they went down on a lockdown for like a week to 2 weeks. And then people in China, the country of China, they want their people to be out there working. Yeah. They don't want them locked down in their homes. But their measures when they did lock people down were draconian. People died because they couldn't leave their home and had no food and couldn't leave. They traced them by their cell phones and arrested people that tried to leave when they were supposed to be under lockdown. There's no question that what they did was wrong.
We don't want to be talking about this, trust me, but we're talking about what's coming, and it is coming down, and we're getting ready to talk with Dr. Joel Kahn. So we'll get some of the information that's going on. Yeah. I mean,
it's important because you do see the masking over in China again. You want to see how does that affect us? And, that's the only thing is there something legitimate about a brand new variant that is super deadly? And that's the only thing that worries me is we don't know.
Well, not to put fear out there either, but this is how the first one started.
That's exactly correct.
And then boom, all of a sudden it was here, and then
That's why I think they're going to try to restrict us again, because everything is lining up just like it did the first time. When I started following COVID cases in China on January 7th is when I made my first post, January 7th of 2020, right? Not a couple months before we started our War on COVID show. And I was keeping track of things, what was going on in China. I was watching all of these videos. I was trying to figure out what was going on. And I remember when the very first case came here to the United States. And of course, I do believe most of it was propaganda. There's no question about it. I know people really did get sick. No question. I am 100% positive of that. But at the same time, we should have never had a lockdown. We should have never had restrictions. We should have never had mandatory masks, mandatory vaccines, or anything else. And they're going to try to do it to us again. And we have to be prepared for
Well,
that.
that's why
Well,
this sucks, because we should trust our media to be able to cut through all this stuff.
We should be able
trust
to, but
the-
you know we
it's-
can't.
It's not the 1980s anymore when it
Man.
comes to media. Nobody knows that more than me. I was there, and I've told that story before here, not to bash the point home again, but you're not getting the full story. As I told you before, I had a superior tell me, we're never going to talk about mask not being the end all because it would be disingenuous. We're not going to look at other things, but once again, we still have yet to have one controlled study on how masks work. I was talking to a psychiatrist about it last night who came out to the cancel this kickoff bash. And he said, yeah, at first I was all about it. And he's like, now I question everything, which is what you should do. And we've proven it.
Absolutely.
The conspiracy theorists are the ones who actually have a brain.
Yeah.
Who actually go, wait a second. I'm not just going to be led around like a little sheep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I do this. No, you can't trust the government. Come
No.
on.
Yeah.
I know everybody can say you can't, but you really can't. Look at all the examples in any situation. And that's what we're trying to do. Hell, we want everybody's opinion here.
Yep.
Like-minded and those who aren't. That's why people are welcome. And we've proven that in our short time on air. If you disagree, let us know. I have no problem with people wearing masks, as we've talked about. If it makes you feel better, great. But just don't be stepping on us, telling us what to do if your mask works. If any of us have chosen to get a vaccine or not, great. If you want to go get the vaccine, educate yourself and go get it. But don't force anybody else to, because we already know that just because you get the vaccine does not mean it's stopping the spread.
No question.
Which has turned into an absolute joke. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but we all thought maybe at first, I was trying to keep an open mind. Okay, maybe the vaccine will stop the spread. And then we were proven that it didn't. So hopefully, I pray to God we're done with this stuff, Tabitha. You seem like
I think we're just in the beginning.
I don't even see how there's no freaking way the American public is going to accept this again.
Think about this.
No way.
You guys need to think about this. And a lot of people have forgotten this. Remember the Biosecurity Act that they passed last year?
Yes, I do remember.
With our wonderful Lindsey Graham right there, his name in big letters. The Biosecurity Act means that they can do anything they want to us. They signed this bill, and the Biosecurity Act says if there is a zoonotic disease here in this country, and it's a worldwide, actually, Biosecurity Act, they can lock us down. They can do anything they want to us, and there's not a darn thing we can do about it. You can go online and look up the Biosecurity Act and read it for yourself. They can take you to a COVID camp. They can force you to be vaccinated. They can force you on a lockdown.
Was there ever a COVID camp?
In China, there was not. Well,
COVID camps are not coming to North America.
I don't think that we would, trust me, that would be the beginning of the revolution.
Intern camp from World War II.
But they do have them in other countries. They have them in Australia.
It sounds like the immigrant processing center down there in Texas. Come on, Tabitha.
Tabitha, we can laugh all we want, but do you trust anything?
I don't trust it.
Right
This
now.
is the Friday before New Year's Eve. We have to have a little fun.
That's right.
Tonight at the COVID camp. It sounds like a bar downtown.
It was one of the biggest.
I'm with you.
But it was for the second straight year. It was one of the biggest stories that we had.
They tried to build COVID camps here. Do you remember that? There was one here in St. Louis.
I want a COVID camp in my backyard.
Robert Peterball just posted. No, you don't.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Let's go to the COVID camp, Dad.
About a report, the Deal report on the 2025 depopulation.
That's right. Yep.
What?
It's in a TikTok in honor of Eric. You'll have to check that out when you get a shot.
A couple people have posted that on the comment line.
You know what's so funny is Elon,
like the podcast.
Elon Musk came out the other day with a Converse TikTok, and he basically says people are stupid. Full stop. there's more than enough space on the planet Earth for everybody.
There
10
is.
times over. He goes, we've got more space on the planet that people just aren't living in. They just decide to cram themselves into
All in one little
in
spot.
urban areas. But if you go west and you look to your right or to your left down Highway 70, there's more than enough land for everybody on the planet. But choose your country. There's more than enough space. The depopulation makes no sense.
It doesn't
We
make
have
any
resources
sense.
for forever.
That doesn't mean the government or these folks like Bill Gates don't want to depopulate us. Just because we have space doesn't mean that they don't want to get rid of us.
Oh, look, Drew chimed in. Doomsday Tabitha. Go ahead and retort.
I have no retort. You know, the world, unfortunately, right now is not a great place for a lot of folks. Sorry.
Drew was at the party last night, by
Yes,
the way.
I saw him.
Drew, I couldn't believe you showed up at the party, but you did. Thanks for coming out last night, Drew.
Mhm.
I knew you would be there to support us.
Yeah, he was the one wearing the CIA shirt.
I don't want to freak anybody out. I didn't want anybody's heart to stop. Drew did not come out, but his name was there.
I saw somebody running around with his name
Drew's
tag.
name tag made it all the way around. I don't know, 1,000 people or so.
Yeah.
But Drew was there in spirit,
Yes,
so to
he
speak.
was.
Hey, by the way, for people just joining the show, coming up in just about 10 minutes or so, we're going to talk with National Cardiologist, Dr. Joel Kahn. He's going to talk to us about this whole COVID situation, how he got canceled, how he's trying to get everybody more healthy, what he sees coming down the pipeline.
Can't wait.
I first learned about him when he was on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he's now taking some time to join us today. And then coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we've got a medium that we're going to talk to. Scott's good friend, Shannon, out of California. She's been doing it for a long time. Eric, Tabitha, and Scott are jacked about this. I am not.
We were talking about that last night.
I am not.
The
jacked
fear
about
in your
this.
face is
Yeah,
crazy.
because I told
I
you.
get it.
A lot of people
I
feel
get it.
just like Vic does.
I respect Vic for that, man. I do. I mean, he walks the walk.
We are who we are, and that's fine. But we talk about everything in here.
Well,
We're not
I
always
just
gonna
hope at
agree.
the end
I
of
love
it,
it.
you have a different
he
different
won't.
outlook on it.
But
He
see,
won't.
that's
He
my
won't.
point is I hope you have a different outlook.
What's the outlook that he? Okay, hold
that
on.
we should stay away.
Okay,
No.
here's the deal with Vic. Vic is you're very Catholic.
We're gonna do that. In
He's
9
very
o'clock
Catholic.
hour.
I feel like I'm a world traveler. I put my knapsack on my back and I go looking for all the answers.
Not
like,
Vic. He's just
I'm like
very
Morgan
Catholic.
Freeman on that.
It's just very Catholic.
That's right. That's fine. I'll take
Look,
it.
here's the
Do
deal
you
with
travel with Morgan Freeman's voice
Yeah.
in your head?
I am Morgan Freeman.
I
I'm
love
looking
that.
for a life after death. That was pretty good, wasn't it? That was
Wasn't
really
bad.
good.
Snoop Dogg is better.
But no, here's the deal, man. And I think Vic's cool talking about this stuff.
He's so Catholic.
Catholics, they live by rules, and these are tight ass rules. And if you like one of your rules, I don't know if this is true or not. If you miss a mass, if you go to mass on a Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is, and you miss the next mass, if you don't get someone to push you into heaven, you're screwed. You're like in purgatory, right? Isn't that right?
9
No.
o'clock hour.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock
That's
hour.
the one that always just freaked me out. It's like, wait a minute. So if I miss mass, like I'm sick and I
I'll
and I
explain
die,
it.
I
I'll
can't get
explain
into
it.
heaven. And then
No.
But it is a
That's
mortal
not
sin.
true.
man, I think
It's a mortal. We'll talk about it in
Tabitha.
9 o'clock hour.
What's a mortal sin?
Missing mass for not being sick, and there's a reason
there, man.
and I can explain it.
Okay, first
but
of
that may
all,
be another.
And
show,
is
but
there
let's not get off.
And is there a purgatory? Is there a waiting room for heaven?
Yeah, we're here.
oh,
Yeah.
Welcome.
All right. Before I die,
I don't
we
wanna
have
hear-
got to do a show
yes.
about everything that we're talking about.
We will.
It's
Oh, we for sure will.
fascinating.
And people
Not
like to
just
talk about
not the
this stuff.
Catholics, but Baptist, Judaism.
All religions.
Yeah, we're
Muslimism.
gonna figure it all out.
and sin. I want to talk about
Yeah.
sin and the 9 o'clock hour.
Not Vic. He's just very Catholic. I love that.
It's just
Look, my-
very Catholic.
We're gonna take. We got. That's a great.
My
way.
brother's a Knights of Columbus. I don't
I'm
know
just
what
a
that means
teensy bit
exactly.
cat.
Hey.
I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
We are, and that means absolutely nothing.
I agree. I'm no different than
somebody
Joe
says- Are you
Biden
Catholic?
When
and
somebody
Nancy
says-
Pelosi.
When
I
somebody
was
says
baptized
I was
Catholic.
raised Catholic, then you automatically
Yes.
go, okay.
And
I
they go, they
haven't-
I
don't,
love this soul, but they don't understand.
I haven't been to a Catholic
Yes.
church since high
that is
school.
dead on what Vic just said. I was
because
raised
that
Catholic.
was me until I went back to that faith.
I was raised Catholic, but
But
now
dude,
I'm
we gotta-
agnostic.
We have a blast of a show coming. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You will not want to miss Dr. Joel Kahn when we come back. Now is the time to really share the show. If you have questions, Look up Dr. Kahn before we get back. Questions that you want to ask the cardiologist, let us know. We'll get into all of that coming up with him. Wealth of information on COVID, health, what's coming up, why he says you better be eating an organic diet now, which I'm clueless to organic. So I don't know. We'll see it. It's cancelthisshow.com. Share the show. Cancelthisshow.com. Scott Gherkin's here. Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. Back with more right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to Cancel This. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel and Eric Johnson, Scott Kirkin on the boards and the music. Happy Friday, everybody. December 30th. We appreciate everybody coming out last night to the Cancel This party, the Kickoff Bash. It was packed wall to wall. We are grateful for that. We've got a video coming out, of marketing video, pictures. Glad that you were able to help educate Eric on all kinds of topics last night.
That's right.
One of the coolest points of the night was I'm sitting with my daughter, and one of Eric's most popular songs from Shooting Star, back when Eric was a legitimate, when he was a legitimate, worldwide known musician.
Scotty, help me out.
His song came on, and Eric starts bumping his head. I'm like, Ava, that's Eric's song. It was like, I'm gonna put that on my playlist. So my daughter became a fan of Shooting Star last night.
How
Eric,
about
because
that?
of you.
There is hope.
And she loved
There
the
is
song.
hope.
There is
right?
hope for the youth of America now.
There is.
I'm
Well,
happy
let's
about
hope
that.
there's hope. Yeah, that's all we can say.
Yeah.
Hey, canceltheshow.com, canceltheshow.com. Again, once again, share the show. That's how we continue to get bigger by the day, and also by the amazing guests that we have, because we're going to be welcoming in our guests, Dr. Joel Kahn, nationally known cardiologist, a wealth. And when I say a wealth, I mean a wealth of knowledge. Joel's going to be joining us to talk about all things about being canceled, COVID, masking, vaccines, where we are, where we've been, where we might be going. Also, as we move forward, when it comes to being the most healthy person you can be when it comes to a diet like that. Once again, we gave shout outs to Robert Peterbaugh for paying for our bar tab last night in advance, all the way from Detroit, Michigan.
Yes.
We are a St. Louis based show, of course, but we have listeners all over the country and outside of the country. Also thanking the support that we had from Rosalind McLean, rather, and she had passed away this last week because she was a very, very loyal listener. Also, coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we teased it a little bit before. We're going to be talking to our median psychic, talking, debating, figuring out what's good, what's not, all those sorts of things. Kevin from our chat line says, Eric, you should play both Eric and Scott songs on breaks.
Scots are much cooler. Scots are way
Scott,
much
of course.
cooler.
Scott, the
I
lead
agree,
singer of
both.
Modern Day Zero as well. We have
You
a
know that's right.
musician mix on this coming up as well. But before we get to Joel, Tabitha, one thing that got you fired up this morning as we lead into Joel was this whole situation, because you think something else is still coming down the pipeline
She always
when
does.
it comes to masking.
I
Tabitha,
absolutely so.
drama
You know,
hassle.
the
I
reason
love
why
it. I'm getting a bumper sticker. Tabitha drama hassle.
Hey, now I am not drama, but no, I really do think something's coming down the pipeline. And the only reason why
Yeah.
is because when you start seeing the media headlines that, health experts recommend masking for everyone.
Okay.
China has this new deadly COVID variant.
Yeah.
When you start seeing those mainstream media headlines, something's coming.
You know the thing about say about
And
this,
we
Tabitha,
all resist. This is when the revolution
I love
starts.
you. And you know I do. And you know I'm your biggest
Don't
fan.
you dare
I'm not trying to cap on
say
you.
it's misinformation. I will come across there and punch you.
But we talk about it all. You got to be real careful what you say on this show, because a lot of people will look at it as the truth, and we got to stop being
Don't-
the
you know
little
what?
boy
First
that
of all-
cries
first of
wolf.
all,
Not you. Not don't look at me and come at me. Don't come at me.
I'm
like
going
that.
to, because
But I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about everybody. We got to be real careful.
I am real careful.
not to be the little boy that cries wolf, or
If
the
I
sky is
come
falling.
on, if I come on the show and say something, you better believe it's true, Eric.
Well, sometimes it doesn't.
And you know what? And when
And
you
it
say
scares
and when
us.
you say it's not true,
Not
that
you.
just
I'm
all
not-
that does
not
is bring
you.
the whole show down. Promote
Not
us,
you.
promote the show.
Yeah, not you. You just
Well,
got to be real
Kevin
careful.
wants to know if Tabitha's the new medium
If
because
Tabitha's
of
in
her
the medium-
predictions.
Well, let's.
And
They're
it's-
not
and it's
predictions.
called
I
study.
don't make predictions. It's called research. I'm not in here making predictions.
Well, we're
I'm
going to ask
not.
Dr. Kahn about that.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
I-
Dr. Kahn, we welcome you into the show this morning. Hopefully you can hear us well. Hopefully your sound's
Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. Look
I
at that.
didn't know the rules. Do I need a mask
No,
on?
take that thing off. Take that thing off, please.
It says eat plants, so at least I'm spreading a message.
I understand. I understand. Is it made out of? Is it organically made?
Yeah, it's made out of repurposed broccoli fiber.
Yes.
And seriously, if they shut down the economy, eat your mask. I thought it was a brilliant idea.
And now, Dr. Kahn, we appreciate you joining us. I had heard your name before, and then I became more familiar with you once you were on the Joe Rogan Experience. Not only are you a wealth of information, which I've talked about and promoted you in so many senses, you're a cardiologist. There's so many things to your story, your life, your work, and what you're doing. Right off the bat, could you at least tell people a little bit about you, who you are, and what you're doing right now before we get into you being canceled and before you teach us on how we should be living our lives?
Yeah. Real short and sweet. I'm in my early 60s. I still have a very vibrant cardiology practice in suburban Detroit. Started out as a hospital doc, treating heart attacks, stents, balloon angioplasty. Exciting life. Loved it. Helped many people. But got really hooked on prevention. Why am I treating these people that I could have seen 5 years earlier and they wouldn't have needed the emergency work I was doing? Because sometimes they didn't make it and sometimes they made it but were damaged for life. And I went back to school about 10 years ago and left the hospital and left standard practice to kind of be a radical and actually teach people advanced medicine. We do very high-tech science here, but really about sleep and fitness and weight control and trying to use every bit of science in the world with a word that's popular now. Tony Robbins loves it, called precision medicine. So Vic is different than Tabitha, is different than Eric, different than Joel. And we got the technology to figure out, at least to some degree, what each person needs at their genetic level. So I have a ton of fun, have a great, small, mighty staff. And, I personally have been plant-based. Now the term, of course, is vegan for about 45 years. I teach it, but I have carnivore patients and keto patients and paleo patients and McDonald's, KFC patients. We love them. We love them at where they're at, and we make them eat their broccoli mask.
We can make a fortune off the broccoli mask. I'm telling you right now.
I wish I would have thought of that in April 2020. God knows. If I had gone to the garden store to buy broccoli seeds to grow the broccoli to make the mask, our governor in our state would have told me the gardening departments were shut down. They were dangerous during COVID.
Talking about Governor.
But the liquor stores, no problem there. People get healthier with tequila. So I couldn't have done it even if I wanted to.
So true.
Eric thinks that Fireball cures a lot of diseases.
Oh,
Who said it doesn't?
Or screwball, I would say. Get a little peanut fiber in your.
That is the best stuff ever made.
It certainly is. Doc, real quick, what our name of the show is Canceled This. You were canceled in a kind of a way. What happened with you with that story, and how have you come out of it?
Yeah, I was on a bit of a run. I mean, it's all ego driven. I was on a bunch of Hollywood shows, changed my life, not one iota, except I got a whole bunch of Joe Rogan paraphernalia in my office, and people kind of, still light up when they see that. A lot of Hollywood appearances. I'd go out to LA a couple times a month and film shows, never paid, no real gifts other than a t-shirt. Yeah. But I just kept doing what I was doing, seeing patients. We never shut down. And a very dear friend of mine caught my attention, Peter McCullough, who is well known in this debate the last 3 years. He was a fellow in cardiology, meaning a trainee at my hospital. And I knew him even before that. So we go back 30 years. We published research papers. And it was like, oh, my God, when you say his name, he's like a machine. He's so smart and he's so academic. And he went on to multiple very high level, high profile. But I started listening to some of his stuff early in 2020. And why is a cardiologist even dealing with COVID? And what are you talking about? But I got swept up in it to at least ask the question. I've been in so many debates. My Joe Rogan appearance in 2018 was a 4-hour food debate. I've debated stents versus bypass. We debate statin cholesterol medicine versus lifestyle. Debates are always welcome until early 2020, or it really got cooking later in 2020. Mm-hmm. Of course, as therapies started to be discussed, and it just was shut down. I mean, I had the luxury of not being a hospital employee, not being dependent on a hospital income, because I really work predominantly out of my own clinic and can suffice with that. I had the luxury to be free speaking and free minded, but a very large social media presence. I mean, for a physician large, not Kim Kardashian large. I could tell instantly I was being shadow banned on Instagram, shadow banned on LinkedIn, shadow banned. Many times posts were taken down. And ultimately, I was booted off of LinkedIn for life, although I have a new account back on. I just keep it, business clean. And I'll tell you what I posted. I never posted radical stuff. I never once advised anybody of whether to take jabs or not jabs. That's, to me, a personal decision between you, your doctor, the informed consent, your own decision. And I got banned from Twitter permanently for life. And I'm talking tens and tens of thousands of followers and 100,000 tweets. So far, Twitter has not allowed me back on. I noticed yesterday that when I tried to appeal one more time, they don't even take appeals anymore. They must be so overwhelmed.
Damn.
Wait a minute.
I
Let's stop
guarantee
there.
they're overwhelmed.
Let's stop there for just a second, because Elon said we're reinstating all these accounts.
I think they're overwhelmed.
I'm sure
I
they're
got you.
overwhelmed.
All right.
I mean,
So many
a
people
lot of the spokespeople like Robert Malone, Peter McCullough, Stephen Kirsch, these are names that have been very outspoken, are back on Twitter. Jessica Rose, not as many people know her name, but you should follow her on Twitter, a scientist out of Israel who's very outspoken. It just hasn't happened yet. And honestly, when you lose a little social media, your life gets quieter, more peaceful, and better. So, it's like I went through a Twitter suction. You've heard of liposuction? I had Twitter suction. I got rid of some fat time I didn't need. I will just tell you one story, though, because people say, so why are you kicked off for life? It was posting scientific material. When you're busy enough on Twitter posting, and 95% of my posts were about broccoli and sleep and exercise and don't smoke. That's always been where my core has been. But when you're busy enough on Twitter, every morning I'd get an email. Here are 5 interesting articles on Twitter right now you might have missed, you might be interested in. Thank you, Twitter. I don't know who's doing this. One of them was in March or April of 2022. An article about therapy for the virus using remdesivir or other therapies. I retweeted it. They sent it to me. I retweeted it. That was the final blow. I broke their rules by posting that on my feed. It was such a setup, sucker punch. Yeah. And there's just no way out of it right now. A number of people I know Elon, and they've made a small petition, but it's not, my life is not defined whether I get back on Twitter or not. And then just to finish, since you asked, I don't get called from Hollywood anymore. And I was booked. I was booked for shows, and they got canceled like 5 minutes before I went online. And, I knew who to call and ask. Why did you cancel? I mean, I've done so many appearances for you. You're too much of a hot potato on your social media. We can't afford any controvery. So
that's all right. You can slum it with us anytime, Doctor. We
right.
appreciate
it. It's much more my crowd. I like that.
Yeah.
It's so true. So, we've been talking about, as a matter of fact, this show that you're on right now, it was started because of COVID-19. It was a bunch of people that heard this deadly virus coming over from China or wherever it was coming from. And we thought that we were doing a community service, just kind of giving you the day in and day out of what this disease was doing. Right. And ultimately, we just started seeing people get picked off because they were saying things like, can I say the word, the horse paste word, or what will we?
The I word. We just have to call it the I word.
The horse paste.
What do you call it, Doc?
I call it a really good therapy in 2021 when people were sick as crap.
Yeah.
I have not used it in patients in 2022 because Omicron, even in the elderly, has been much milder, with rare exception. There are rare exceptions. People get better with gargling with salt water, using a neti pot up their nose with salt water or diluted hydrogen peroxide. So people get better, and they get better pretty quick. And I can speak with authority because I take care of people that email me all the time. And I just tell them, you don't need me. You need this little tiny protocol. You don't need horse paste. You don't need the hydroxy drug. And monoclonal antibodies are pretty much off the market. So I hope we stay this milder, gentler version of the virus, or it just goes the heck away.
Yeah, and it seems like you want to go to you want to go to a community doctor that they have their own protocol maybe, and they've been getting some results with their own protocol, like Joe Rogan did, and that was just taken offline for 2 years in this country because everybody had to march by the same drummer. Is that correct, or do you kind of see it different than that?
Well, you run the risk. I mean, you run the risk if you're a hospital-employed physician. I mean, listen to Peter McCullough's podcast and hear people that not only lost their hospital position, like Aaron Cariotti, a psychiatrist, University of California, Davis, head of the ethics committee, and they boot him out of the entire university for speaking intelligently about the ethics of all this. People lost their medical license. That's probably the biggest concern. the crazy state of California and, a new law about, I thought misinformation was like Miss Michigan. I thought there was like a award you could have. I thought I won Mr. Information because, I was posting so many good articles on social media. But, that's the scary thing. When you love what you do, State Board of Medicine is a bad place to be in front of. So,
no question.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people want to ask questions around here, but I'll just take one more stab at it. So you're a cardiologist, and one of the things about our old show was this inflammation of the heart. And now that you've had a chance 24 months into this, have you had a chance to sit down and do kind of a post-mortem with the data that we have on how maybe COVID and the vaccines have affected the blood system and the heart? Have you had a chance to do any of that yet and said, man, I was right?
I think in general, the fact that young, healthy people had to seriously consider the risks and the benefits and seriously make independent, informed consent decisions, realizing that with rare exceptions, somebody under 50, even in 2020 and 2021, there were exceptions. There were people that died. But with rare exception, the younger, healthier person survived, and there just wasn't a need to have pharmaceutical-induced, immunity when you could either just get by or get by with an illness and recover. I guess the single thing that really triggered me the most, the data started coming out about natural immunity. You have the disease, you've recovered, and actually the country of Qatar. That is another odd comment. Why wasn't it the United States or even Israel that was so highly vaccinated, has such a advanced medical community? Really, it was data from Qatar that started showing, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month second infection rates were incredibly low. They weren't zero, but they were very low. And people that had a good bout of COVID, leave them alone. That's what we do. And that's what Dr. Fauci said in 2004, I think it was, in a famous video about natural immunity. But it just seems the rules were totally changed. And as my friend, Dr. Peter McCullough said, the focus was a needle in every arm without any thought, without any consideration. So there's no doubt there is cardiac consequences of a really bad episode of COVID virus infection, respiratory infection. But there's no doubt there's been a major spike in inducing the disease from the mRNA, approach to this. And I have, a reasonable number of vaccine injured people in my practice. I really don't put out my banner that I want more and more. I mean, my focus is blood pressure, cholesterol, heart attacks, and the rest. But they do find me, and it's a real deal. I can't give you any number that I've seen, and I don't focus on seeing a lot of 18 to 30-year-olds, males that are really susceptible. But it's clearly, if it were any other time in our life, it was any other therapy that wasn't under emergency use, tradition is this stuff would have stopped long ago. It's a story to be told. Why have we lost our usual regulation?
Dr. Kahn, are you watching what's going on in China right now? And are you watching all of this talk of a new COVID variant? And are you seeing all of the media all of a sudden jumping on board that we need to bring restrictions back?
Well, we all know we're living this strange media life of when Omicron got mild and people weren't as sick and hospitals weren't as overwhelmed, we had to bring in monkeypox. I can't listen to the music stations now without hearing 16 RSV warning ads. I mean, it's a real deal, but people are dying of heart attacks while they're listening to RSV ads. I mean,
that's sad, funny, but true, and not funny.
Yeah, no, there are 45-second ads, and there's one heart attack every 41 seconds in the United States. So at least one person drops off their chair while they're listening to Ralph, I think is the name of the commercial I've heard so many times, Ralph and Carl. But yes, the fact that China took such extreme measures to lock down, even when there was a single or two cases in a fairly big city that had a big commercial enterprise, yet it seems to be exploding right now. I mean, they really suppressed natural immunity. And you just got to let the healthy people get this disease and get some antibodies. But by now in the United States, that's largely happened. I'm not suggesting we go out there and spray mild versions of the virus, at football stadiums. Bad idea. It's already done that. It's already out there.
Yeah, we're talking with Dr. Joel Kahn, nationally known cardiologist. huge following, canceled to a certain degree on social media because he started to question what was going on. As we lead into Scott, who has a question, just want to remind everybody, Peter McCullough, who Dr. Kahn brought up, known, tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, the creator of the mRNA vaccine, correct?
No, that was actually Robert Malone, MD.
Robert Malone and Peter McCullough's claim to
Peter
fame.
McCullough, in the specialty he has, which is heart-kidney overlap of disease, is the most published physician in the world in his specialty. And, was vice chairman of the Department of Internal Medicine and editor of many journals. And you can't climb much higher than he had climbed in the academic world, and and it really has been treated like a dog you want to get rid of by his peers. Sad.
Scott, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just had a question, Doc. So I had a pretty severe case of COVID, ended up getting the double pneumonia, going into the hospital, and had the remdesivir treatment. So I heard you mention remdesivir earlier in the conversation, and I was just curious what your take is on that treatment, because I've heard bad things, I've heard good things, and it hasn't seemed to bother me at this point in my life. But what are you seeing as far as effects from that after the treatment?
Yeah, so after the treatment, no effects. If you get through the illness and you get through with a healthy kidney function and you're home, you're going to recover slowly or quickly. You might have some long haul COVID, you might not, but remdesivir is no longer a factor. Authority is much more prominent than me, like the World Health Organization advised early in this pandemic that there was no place for remdesivir therapy. Yet, a company makes it and makes it at a high cost because it's not generic. And there was, the oddest thing amongst so many odd things were the financial incentives given to hospitals to keep people sick. I didn't say make people sick. That's a strong accusation. But, a COVID patient in an ICU was reimbursed fantastically more than just seeing them in an urgent care or ER and evaluating them and sending them home with some home therapy, because nobody did that. Adding on remdesivir was a tremendous bonus incentive by the insurance companies. I mean, we've never, ever seen that I can recall. And I've been in practice over 30 years. Doctor, you send your patient home on a diabetic medicine or a statin medicine, and we're going to give the hospital an extra $20,000. I mean, most physicians seeing hospitalized patients are hospital employees, and most of them have to consider their actions. And I can tell you, I know, absolutely cases in Detroit that the chief of a department shut down alternative therapies, horse-paste, vitamins, IV infusions, and patients went on to die. Now, whether that decision caused the death of the patient is legal questions, and some of them are legal cases now. But, who took control of the medical system and took it out of the hands of doctors who were trying to follow a worldwide literature? South Africa, Europe, Italy, Central America, San Salvador had a tremendous program going on for outpatients, and took that data away and punished doctors, and actually humiliated, that those famous ads showing pictures of horses run by the FDA. I mean, just all that will need explanation, and whether it'll be House committees or future Senate committees, maybe it'll all just be forgotten and swept away. And investigative reporters will write.
It won't be forgotten by me, because I'll tell you what, people need to be prosecuted and held responsible. My son's father had COVID, healthy 55-year-old, ended up in the hospital. He was having a tough time breathing. They gave him remdesivir, threw him on a ventilator after 2 days, and he passed away from cardiac arrest, from kidney failure. And I am fully convinced that had he been able to take the I word, the horse paste, unfortunately, he lives too far away. I wasn't able to give him any at that last minute. And he died. And I am absolutely convinced that these people need to be prosecuted for not promoting vitamin D, horse paste, and all of the things that other countries used that saved millions of lives.
Yeah. It's a very tough question. I've had a broad experience in the courts being a medical expert in a variety of situations. And, these will have to go through that process. Of course, criminal charges are very serious and a big deal, and very high level of proof. It's going to be easy to argue that they were just sick and went on to die from the disease. But
Right.
there's a lot of families just like yours that are suffering
Yes.
and are asking the same question. So I agree, you're right. It's probably going to be grassroots more than government. It's certainly not going to be our medical societies. I don't know who's still a member of the American Medical Association, but they're as close to useless to
Yes.
day-to-day practice as an organization can be.
What is the again, talking about 24 months into this, what is the damage to the human body that mild to severe case of COVID can do? And then a follow-up to that is, what is the damage that the vaccine has done to the human body that you've seen, the long-term effects?
Most people who have the respiratory version of the virus, which is milder now, and a lot of people have had it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whether they're never vaccinated or completely fully vaccinated. I'm dealing with a patient right now, completely fully vaccinated, up to date as the government says, and has 5th episode of the virus again. And outpatient therapy is doing fine, but missed a few days of vacation that he was counting. Most people are fine. There clearly is a poorly understood long haul COVID. There's a pathologist, Bruce Patterson, MD, who believes we can retain the virus or parts of the virus in our white blood cells called monocytes. And there's a protocol that he teaches. I think the website is covidlonghaulers.com. Pretty academic, scientific approach to the issue. And I have patients that just clearly have had fatigue and palpitations and poor sleep and anxiety, and there's high blood pressure, and there's dizziness, and there's people that stand up and their blood pressure drops. So there are some unusual consequences to the natural virus and recovery, but most people recover.
But it's resolving. So the human body can resolve that eventually over time.
If you study the vaccine, the most concerning data is that on the self-reported website that the government and the CDC and the FDA maintain called VAERS, which is far from a perfect program, but it is our government's program, that there's a real spike 48 hours after vaccination. Something, if somebody has a heart attack 3 months later, good luck relating that to vaccination. From a scientific epidemiology standpoint, pretty tough. But if it's 36 hours, it's much more likely to be consideration. Was it the therapy, whatever the therapy is, any new drug, any new vaccination, any new intravenous. And there's just a giant spike in the first 48 hours. So it's pretty hard to conclude that this isn't worthy of investigation. This isn't worthy of autopsies. I mean, there's clearly, the life insurance data you've probably heard about, and, I read about, that there just seems to be a lot more unexplained deaths, that sudden adult death syndrome, a term we never had until the last 18 months. We just saw it, and I don't know what they died of in the last couple of weeks, the 37-year-old newscaster and 45-year-old
ABC,
UFC fighter. I mean, obviously people die of heart attacks and strokes and aneurysms, and not everything is the vid, but should the medical system be tackling the question? And if it's true, that there's a long-term risk of clotting, should we be as a government advising a daily aspirin or natural blood thinners or maybe prescription blood thinners to high-risk people? Why isn't there a real crunch down on this data? So unfortunately, people will potentially suffer until we come up with strategies and testing. I mean, there really isn't a good test. Was my immune system damaged? It's hard to assess that. Dr. Bruce Patterson believes he has a blood test for it. Is my clotting system super active? It's actually not so easy to test for it, unfortunately.
Dr. Kahn, you've given us a lot of time. Could you at least focus a little bit on this organic diet? Because it seems like it's impossible for meat eaters like myself, Scott, Eric, that's for sure. Because
where the McDonald's go.
I mean, you were steadfast on this. When I look at some of your studies, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to change everything in my life. And how important is it to?
Yeah. What you want to do and what's missing, just ponder this question for a minute. I'm 45 and my internist said get a colonoscopy. I don't have any problem, but you need a colonoscopy to look for polyps, cancer, screen. You're 45, you're a woman, you're told to get a mammogram. You're 45, your cholesterol is 250, your father had bypass at age 61, and goodbye, Joe, see you in a year. There's no screening. So that's not true and it's wrong. There is a CT scan called a heart calcium CT scan. In most cities, you do have to ask a doctor or a nurse for a prescription. Heart calcium CT scan costs about $75 to $99. If you live in Cleveland, the university does it for free even. And it takes about 5 seconds. And you just lie down, they take a picture of your heart, and you go home, no needle, no injection. You find out if your arteries are clean. You find out if your arteries are crowded. Now, I want even my patients with perfectly clean arteries to eat broccoli and salads and sweet potatoes and black beans and exercise and sleep and don't smoke. But you can get away with a little more if you'll take the effort, $75 to $99, and just check your heart out. But we just go through life blindly, and there's Bob and there's Sue and there's Jane and there's Carol, and people drop because this disease is wicked, it's silent, and it isn't always the smoker who weighs 285 and eats at McDonald's. It's some runners and some vegetarians and vegans die of heart attacks. I think it's the best diet on the planet to eat whole food, plant-based, 95 to 100% of the time. Some people throw in some fish or shellfish. I don't.
And not
but
what you
still,
find at the
I want those people to get checked too, because don't assume you don't have a genetic influence in there. I'm sorry, I missed your question.
I'm sorry, Dr. Kahn. And what I was saying, I tell these guys all the time, not the food you typically find at the grocery store. I try to go to farmers markets because the stuff you find at the grocery store, I call it Frankenfood. At our grocery stores here, we don't have a lot of organic options.
Yeah, and that's what the kids are doing. The kids are eating more and more vegan-like, but it's junk, crap food in restaurants and grocery stores and fast food carryouts. I mean, McDonald's just announced they're launching a plant-based burger through Europe, a double patty burger. When you're stuck on an island and no other choice, enjoy it. If you're on a health journey, you'd be better off eating a bowl of black beans and rice like a poor Mexican. I mean, you would be.
Like a poor, you have on your website the CoQ10, and I see it all the time. Is every CoQ10 built the same, or do you have to in the fish oil, or do you have a place that we can actually go, maybe order it online and kind of get on this vitamin regimen?
Yeah, it's always more important to exercise, sleep, manage your stress, and eat well than it is to take a vitamin. But there recently was a massive study that 3 or 4 vitamins, CoQ10, omega-3, and folate, were the big 3, had huge benefit in a study of almost 1 million people. So we can talk scientifically. I have a website anybody can visit, drjoelkahn.com, drjoelkahn.com. I see patients by telemedicine. There's a link there. I have a weekly podcast. There's a link there. I do have an online store if anybody wants to browse through it, a few hundred items that I handpick. So yes, but CoQ10 is probably the most underrated vitamin on the market. And I can't really tell you that I know one brand's better than the other. If there's really a question in a serious heart patient, there's a blood test for it. So if I question if they're on a good brand, I'll check the blood level. If the blood level's okay, whatever they're doing is okay.
One last question. People are blowing up our comment line asking, is shedding real, going back to that COVID situation?
I'd always, have you go look at Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Ballone. I think there's a Substack by Peter McCullough this week on the topic. Theoretically, it's possible. It's probably very intimate contact. Some good kissing on Christmas, some sexual contact, a lot of really face-to-face time. It's probably not you were 10 people down at the Christmas table from a cousin that you found out got recently vaccinated or got recently had the illness. It's probably not that kind of concern.
Doc, we love you. Thanks again for your time today, man. We appreciate it. You can go on. We just pulled the string, wind you up, and let you go.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, Vic and team, and you guys all have a happy, healthy 2023.
You
too,
also.
man.
We'll catch back up with you. Once again, you can find Dr. Kahn online at the website. Go back into our podcast and check that out. Happy New Year, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A ton from Doctor, and I appreciate his stance because it's not easy to do what he did in a medical community and all of a sudden he is the star. He is traveling the world, and he says, wait a second, what's going on with COVID?
Yeah.
I don't agree with this. And all of a sudden, boom, his Twitter shut down.
Yeah.
Boom, he's being shadow banned.
Of course.
Boom, all of his episodes and shows are being canceled because he dared test the system. And he's like, I don't care. I'm going to continue to say what's right.
Yeah.
because he had that platform.
And COVID was deadly, and the vaccine did help some people, but we were told such an extreme version of the story for so long that we only heard, and people like, and somewhere the truth was right in the middle all along, that the herd immunity did take care of a lot of people, that the vaccination did take care of a lot of people, that masks don't work. We'll stop there, full stop.
The I word works.
The I word, whether it did or didn't, we didn't have the opportunity to learn about it.
I had COVID.
Well, you're
didn't
right.
have one
You're
single
right.
symptom because
You're
I
right.
took the I.
Did you take
horse
the I
face.
word?
No.
You
No,
did
he
not.
did.
Okay.
No, he did.
I wish we had. I
not
wish we
when
had
I had
Dr. Kahn on with us for
Well, yeah,
forever.
he can do 2 hours of show.
Forever.
I mean, obviously, it's been his life. He's a fantastic cardiologist, and that's why his practice is going great. That's why he has so many articles and information and products on his website. I mean, there is a reason why he did what he did and where he is and why he's so popular right now. And you just look at our comment line. Obviously, it's blowing up right now. Obviously, 30 minutes or 35 minutes with Doctor seems like it goes by in about 10. And of course, you could probably do an hour show with them.
And Dr. Kahn, before you go, how can people reach out and find you? Because I know I would like to look at your website and read more about organic dieting.
Yeah, really.
And I will give a clap to Eric for the summary you said. I mean, there were people that were helped by hospital therapy. There were people that avoided the disease and death by vaccination. There's no doubt. I mean, but we're treating 6-year-olds like we're treating 86-year-olds, and there's just an absence of strategy and thought that needs to be responded to by proper medical authorities. I'm at drjoelkahn.com. I'm in suburban Detroit, but I'm licensed all over the United States. So drjoelkahn.com.
All right. Happy New Year, Detroit.
You too. Bye, guys. Signing out.
Have a good day.
I'll be coming up there for treatment soon.
What a great guy. And Scotty, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were talking about you getting your treatment with the I, you didn't take the I word.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I saw
You're
Dr.
fine.
Kahn on there and I'm like, he's looking at us like, what am I doing?
I know he was there. So
Yeah, no, I just figured he was kind of listening into our wrap up or whatever.
No,
But no, you didn't cut me off at all. You're fine.
It's I hope it's the norm now that physicians feel like they can speak up about, because they had no.
it's not.
But they,
It's
you know
not
what to
the
think
norm.
about. But you know what, Vic? Physicians, the guys that are on the front line, they are the controlled study. You don't. I mean, it's not peer reviewed. It's not all the. It's not in the JAMA. It's. They literally take the patients. They see the postmortem of these patients, and they're able to. They have a much better bird dog view of what's going on. So all of a sudden you're a physician that, let's say you're down at SSM or you're at BJC or whatever, you now can make decisions based on what you've seen and not what Dr. Fauci has said to you.
Bingo.
Is that crazy?
No,
But you can't say anything online or else you'll get canceled still.
It's
That's
so
true.
ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, because we live in a communist country and people don't want to admit to it, but we do. Freedom is an illusion. I will say it every single day. Freedom is an illusion. You think you're free until you try to speak out, then you very quickly learn that you are not.
Yeah.
Robert Peterball saying, okay, now that we got Dr. Kahn in the Detroit area, the Cancel This party is headed north to Detroit next.
I'm ready.
Why do we have to go north? Why don't we just all meet in Orlando like everybody else?
I'm ready,
Get a
Robert.
convention center and just hang out on the beach.
That's in the plan. That
hell,
might be
man?
in the 2-year plan.
What's wrong
Eric.
with you guys?
Road trip. We'll head north from that standpoint.
We'll just make a countrywide tour. How about that? We'll just go state to state.
You don't get people, Eric. I mean, the Dr. Kahns are just not growing on trees in the backyard. And that's why
But
it's
they're
so
smart
important to get him.
people.
No, they are.
And they're
They
not
are.
manipulative. They can't
Malone,
be
McCullough,
manipulated.
Kahn, they're so freaking important to get these people out there and to talk and do what he's done. And he is intelligent enough and had enough experience and had a national following and knew how to speak. And a lot of times doctors are afraid of media. They're afraid of cameras. And they don't have that status, as we've talked about, the Dave Chappelle canceling, as we've talked about, the Elon Musk, the Joe Rogan. And that's why the people who seem that they've gotten to big levels feel like they could take the body blows, but still punch back and come out on top. So many more doctors I know who have talked to off record, off camera, do agree. Maybe not with everything doctor said, but have told me over the last 2 years, there's questions. What we should be asking questions.
Yes.
Why are we being told this is the only way? And then you see somebody like Dr. Kahn, and you would just hope that physicians, when they take that oath and they are doing their job and they're doing it because they care, that they're actually going to speak up and say something without being afraid of being canceled. We got to continue to question everything.
And I think that we talk about backlash, and we CRT is a backlash point. The border is a backlash point. Decimation of our dollar is a backlash point. A new backlash point, it has to be that you are not transparent. And when you're not transparent, you're lying. And when you're lying and you're a citizen of this country, like Fauci lied to us, basically. He did. He didn't come out and say,
He's a criminal.
I would have said that.
And when Eric says that, it's in emails. That's why we've got emails
Proof.
and sound bites and a timeline to show that he did. It's
And
not us
nothing
just
is
making
going
that
to
up. There's
happen.
proof of it.
And there,
Yes.
I would have trusted this whole situation if our fearless leader, Dr. Fauci and Birx, were to come out early and say, guys, we don't know everything on the planet. We know that this virus is a coronavirus. We get that. We're not totally sure that masking works, but we recommend you do it until we can find out. I'm playing the role of a Dr. Fauci that we would have trusted. We're working on a vaccination. We hope that it works. We hope that there's efficacy behind it. There would be no blue side and red side. There would have been no division in the country. You wouldn't have seen liberals take up the mask like it was some kind of weird flag, and Republicans going, I don't trust any of this stuff. We needed that from a leader at that moment. And when Fauci comes out and goes, you're bitching at me. Don't you? I'm science. I am science. You're literally looking at the face of science.
And he was getting paid for what, $400,000 a year for his job. He won.
That's a drop in the bucket.
He made a lot
stuff.
more money than that. That was his base salary, not including bonuses. He won $1 million prize for being like the scientist of the year. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. He is a criminal. He belongs in prison. I am not kidding you. I am so mad over everything that took place in COVID. People that laid there and died alone in the hospitals because of these ridiculous restrictions. People in nursing homes who had to sit there without their family, looking at them through a glass window. My grandmother was in a nursing home during COVID. My son's dad died in a hospital going through things that are unspeakable. I am angry and I want accountability. And I don't think we're ever going to see anyone held accountable.
No, of course you're not. But we've known that from the get-go.
And so,
I know you like to sound the alarm again and scream from the rooftops. Nothing's going to happen.
Well,
I know nothing's going to happen. I'll be the first person to tell you that.
But you know, when you had a person die in your family because of whatever happened, I think those people, they have a little bit of a right to yell with a megaphone.
I would be too.
My son
the
lost
thing that sucks
his
is
father.
nothing is changing. Nothing's going to change. And as Dr. Kahn explained, there's no legal way to go about doing it.
In other countries, there's not in the United States.
So it's you're stuck. You can be angry your whole life, and you're trying to figure out something. The only thing I can think is when we try to take a step forward with
That's
that
a hard
situation,
one to move on from, though.
It is so damn hard.
We have to learn from it.
Bingo is if something comes up again, or if somebody tries to do all of this stuff again,
and they're going to.
You remember what happened to make sure that it doesn't happen again,
and
as best as you possibly can. Which is why the screaming.
And what if this was one of those democratic things that's like never let a good what is it? I can't remember. Go to waste. Never let a catastrophe go to waste.
Right.
You know, use it to your advantage. If there was a inkling of them using this COVID crap to develop this new world government, never let a crisis go to waste. That's their mantra from one of their.
And they create the crisis. That's what's so funny about it. They create the crisis. It's
I think
a man-made crisis.
It's a stretch to say they did this because
they did this. I'm going to say, and this is just my opinion.
Now let's go.
It's just my opinion.
Okay, all right.
I have no fact to prove it. I absolutely believe they did this to us on purpose, by design, with intent, like they do every other thing. It was by design.
That's
it was
never
going
to be provable.
And you
that wasn't,
or may not be able to prove it.
But you couldn't say it was government.
World government stuff.
It would have to be something.
I think it's
government.
a globalist, no
like
question about
WTO.
it. But there's a lot of people. It depends on what you think about. You know, there's a lot of people who believe that the United States created COVID, created this bioweapon or whatever it might be, and they took it to China. Let's backtrack. Back when COVID first started, there were a lot of people arrested. As a matter of fact, there were a couple of different people arrested here in the United States because they were taking vials of vaccine to Wuhan, and they were arrested. I think Columbia University? A professor from there was arrested.
Yes.
For doing exactly that.
Chinese professor.
And then, of course, China blames it on the United States. They say we started it here, and of course they're going to say that.
Gaslight.
But either way, someone did this to us with intent. They want to harm us. They want to depopulate us. They want to control us, and they're going to keep doing it.
Everybody on this show is very similar, and here's the difference. This show should have been called Clue, like the board game Clue. Like, what is in the difference between Tabitha and I? Tabitha knows exactly what's in the envelope. I don't know. I'm trying to go through the steps of figuring out what's in the envelope.
Eric's back on your side.
But Tabitha, if you ask Tabitha, it was the candlestick, and it was in the library, and it was Dr. Fauci.
Well, if somebody knows, or if somebody else has seen this, for a bit of levity, but also a bit of concern, I recently had some sort of rap song that came across my feed, I don't know, in the last month or so, that was from like 10 years ago, where they're talking about COVID coming, pandemic coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, you have got to be kidding me, because it predated COVID.
Yes, it did.
By like 8 to 10 years. There were rappers singing about COVID.
What?
If somebody knows what I'm talking about or can find
I remember, but I don't have it. But I know one of the listeners have talked about this before, so I know someone out there knows. And look at the movie Contagion.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And Robert said X-Files. X-Files also did. I did see this clip
right out of the book
talking about COVID many years in advance.
What?
And the reason I bring that up is what Tabitha says with her thesis about this was being planned to be put on us. Todd says Outcast, maybe they were fortune tellers.
I do love the band Outcast, by the way.
I'm surprised you know who Outcast is.
One of my favorite bands.
That was shocking. That was
Scotty's over there laughing.
Who knew?
God help her.
Tabitha goes, I love Soundgarden. What are you talking about?
I don't know any Soundgarden songs.
You don't like Steven Tyler, that's for sure.
He's gay.
He is gay.
Oh,
and
my
that's
God.
okay.
Not that there's anything wrong.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I still
Steven's gay, and that's okay. And I've got the proof in the pics.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, my God. And of course, she sent us the pictures as well.
Oh, the barrage of pictures were hysterical.
I'm
like, well, maybe she has a point. I mean,
oh my gosh.
I was right.
Oh my God.
Hey, and by the way, Kevin says, I wanted to know if the medium who's coming up would have known that her favorite, where did it go? That her favorite band was Outkast.
No,
nobody would
one of my
She probably would have kept it to herself.
Yeah,
if she
she
did.
I got information.
She wouldn't want to embarrass Tabitha on the air.
She likes Wu-Tang Clan also.
Milli Vanilli, they're my second favorite.
my God.
Milli Vanilli.
Just kidding.
Oh,
Although, okay, at our party last night, before we go to break here, was Scott, were you playing the music last night late in the night?
No,
because I heard some music. I looked up and I saw you getting all.
I was singing I was like, they picked some good songs, and then Rooster came on by Alice in Chains. I'm like, oh,
yeah, that was Will.
That was good stuff.
That was Will. That was
I was not.
Oh, in 2015, Glenn says Dr. Fauci, stated that we'd have a pandemic within 5 years. I have not seen that video.
I actually remember seeing that. Yes. That because
Bill Gates as well.
He based it on like the swine flu and all that. It happens every so often is what
they planned this. They planned it. They war gamed it. Bill Gates war gamed it. They all did. You can go out. That information is out there. It's not us or me just spouting ridiculous out there, Eric. Go out there and you can find it online. I promise you.
Which is why you're concerned about something else coming.
I'm just teasing Eric.
When I tell you that I'm look, I'm a big Tabitha Hassel fan. I don't know if it comes across that way, but I totally, when you say things, I'm like, oh my God, this is fantastic. This is unbelievable. So, and then I have to go do my own research to see if you're accurate or not. That's the only thing.
Let your little fingers do the walking, because you know what? There is so much information out there. And if people would just turn their televisions off, turn your televisions off, do the research, or you know what? We'll do the research for you, and you can just come here. How about that?
Well,
Yeah.
Doylene and I have something in common. She was excited to hear Nickelback songs being played last night because
Nick played those.
Nickelback was canceled, so to speak. They kind of were.
I'm a Nickelback fan, and
Thank
I don't
you.
care what anybody says. Are you a fan?
Nickelback is the poison of 2000.
Yes, fine. I have some because people were
Poison of
making fun of me.
2000.
Yeah, Poison was that sappy ass hair band that you're like, every rose has its thorn. Okay, I get it why the girls like it, but it sucks. Come on, it sucks. Nickelback rocks, and
They do rock. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a
the-
fan.
And I think what made them cheesy was the TikTok video was look at this giraffe. You remember that?
Oh yeah, look at this giraffe. The photo.
That was what screwed them. Is that dumbass TikTok?
I actually made a meme with that where he was holding it out, and
Yeah.
and it was a picture of Bernie Sanders in his mittens. That was in the picture frame when he was holding it out.
well, I'm glad we're getting more Nickelback fans that are. It's like you can. That's all right. It's all right to come on out. You can.
Yeah.
You can come out of the
Come
closet.
out of the
Yeah.
closet.
Yeah, I wasn't afraid to come
They're
on
going
out.
on tour. We gotta go.
I'll be at Nickelback. I like them.
Dude, they got more. Those guys got more pyro than Motley Crue. I'm telling you.
Oh, their shows are
yeah,
amazing.
it's nuts, man.
Why don't people like Nickelback? I don't even get it.
Yeah, I don't
quite
either.
honestly.
They got a cheese factor to them. There's a little
They
bit.
do.
Of cheese.
I think they got so big that
Yeah.
people got tired of hearing them because like some of their
Oh,
songs
yeah.
do sound
Yeah.
very
Similar.
similar. You know, a lot of them,
Yeah.
kind of the same melodies and things like that. But
Yeah.
they're a great band. He's a great songwriter.
Sorry.
So does Third Eye Blind, and I love them.
Now
All their
let's not
songs
go
sound the
nuts.
same, but I
Third
still
Eye
love
Blind.
them.
I forgot about them.
I
Wow.
love Third Eye
Yeah.
Blind.
You like what you
And
like.
Scotty, Modern Day Zero. I saw you guys. I think at a Point Fest.
I
Yeah.
thought she was going
Way
to go.
back in
and
the
even
day.
you guys, they like you too.
Oh, we were
I-
canceled a long time ago.
I love
for different reasons.
I
couldn't
love
stay
your
sober.
bands.
Behind the music.
George GS3, our friend from Michigan.
Love
who's on-
George.
yeah, well, you may not love him after he says Third Eye Blind. They're liberal and they suck.
That is true.
It's funny
They
that you
are
bring
liberal.
up Third Eye Blind
Thank you,
because you know the
GS3.
whole paranormal medium thing comes from having a third eye.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
Kind of funny
But
that you
the
brought
third
that
eye-
up.
They're very,
third eye, yeah.
very big they're very big with UFOs. Now they call them UAPs. Huge into it.
Well, so is Blink 182. So
Yes.
So it's Foo Fighters.
yeah, there you
They're
go.
named.
The
after
name
us.
is
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
this
the
is-
band. I saw a ghost last night.
What?
I made that up,
Okay.
but they're really into ghosts.
This is
There's a band called Ghost.
It's true.
we're taking a hard left because it's Free for All Friday. It's also Paranormal Friday. We'll take a quick break. I need a coffee. Seriously, the four of us are in about 12 hours combined sleep. If that, after our party last night. We thank everybody for coming. By the way, hey, join in. If there's people you think should hear the show, join in now. We're gonna have a conversation. We've got Shannon Roc on. She is the Weedium. She's a medium psychic. Friends with Scott. Scott really wanted to do this. Eric really wanted to do this. Tabitha really wanted to do this. I did not want to do this, but we're cancel this. We accept everybody. We talk. We debate. You're not going to all agree on everything in life, right? But you can still have the conversations. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to do. Don't go anywhere. Share the show. CancelTheShow.com. We're going to talk with Shannon about what she does, why she does what she does, why she thinks it's good for people if they choose it. And I don't know. We'll talk. We'll debate. We'll go through it, and we'll have a good time.
And we're on Trump tax release watch.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes, we are.
Dude, he didn't pay his taxes. He did it legally.
He did everything
End-
legally. I will bet you
End
my life on
of
it.
story.
Yeah.
What if he wrote off all the illegal aliens that he was paying?
Oh my god.
What are
What-
you talking about?
What if it was he was paying like $1 billion to
Don't
people coming
speak
over?
of Trump in that
You don't
way.
know. We'll find out. You don't have any idea.
Don't speak of Trump in that way.
How dare you?
Look, she's like, Trump is her Catholic religion as Catholic religion is your Catholic religion. You blaspheme.
Well, Trump,
Blaspheme.
Hey,
I don't know if Trump is
Look
a
at the look
very
she's giving. I'm
Catholic
so
like
scared
Vic
right now.
is.
I'm
Eric earlier described himself as a world traveler, but Vic's just very Catholic.
that's a shirt. I want that on a shirt.
Vic is just very Catholic.
Oh my god. Hey, we'll take a quick break. I got to get a coffee. We'll be right back after this. It's cancel this, share the show, jump in. If you have questions, hey, this is for you guys. We'll do it after this. It's cancel this with Scott Gherkin, Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel, and Vic Faust. And welcome back to Cancel This, everybody. Vic Faust here with Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson, and Scott Gherkin. It is Friday, December 30th, our last show before the new year. We say Happy New Year's to everybody as we go in. Have a safe, awesome, wonderful weekend. But before we get to that, very, very anticipated guest this morning as we bring everybody back in. We are talking with our new friend, Shannon Roc, the Weedium. And, of course, she gets extra points for us because it's only 7:05 where she's joining us today.
Oh my God.
Want to ask her.
Shannon, I can tell you this much. We got about 12 hours sleep, the four of us last night with our Cancel This party. But we're going to go on. We're going to just tour the country with parties. So we'll let you take care of our Los Angeles or California based, wherever you may be, Cancel This party.
She's like, can't I just show up?
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, where's the ticket, guys?
Hey, Shannon, thanks for being willing to come on today. A lot of people are very, very, very excited about you coming on. You are the Weedium, a medium psychic, and we can't wait to find out more about you. Full disclosure, I had told people I was not excited about the topic because of my faith. You've dealt with this for many years, but Cancel This is about letting everybody talk about what they want to do, what's going on, and total respect for me, despite me not agreeing with doing what you do, but you're going to explain. I'm glad you're on here and treating you with 100% respect because I'm in the minority with all the majority around me being for you.
In this room, I guess.
Yes. So Scott, you know Shannon. You've been a huge fan of Shannon, and that's why you're like, Vic, we got to get her on. I was like, let's get her on.
I'm just a believer, and I wasn't a believer. I don't know if I wasn't a non-believer, but I had never had an experience like I had with Shannon when it comes to, a spiritual reading.
Yeah.
And that changed my life and changed my view on everything after my father passed.
Yeah.
So it was very an awakening for me in a sense on dealing with the loss of my father and finding ways to, move on.
Yeah. Not to make the show about
have some light added to it.
Yeah.
Is
not to
best
make
way to
the
put
show
it.
about Vic, but I don't even know how they don't coordinate together. All she's doing is like, look, I'm a kind of a conduit to people passing to where they're supposed to go.
Yeah. Let's
Thank
hear
you.
from Shannon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and not to cut you guys off, but the crazy thing is, Vic, like you, I'm Christian. That's the moment, And I grew up in a very, very Southern Baptist, conservative, right-wing Republican household. My mom and dad are retired Army officers. So I lived in a very sheltered, like little tiny world. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm slow. I seriously am. I'm like still half asleep. So if I don't make any sense, I promise I might tomorrow.
Guess what, Shannon? Your speed was perfect for us because
I was following you.
so are we.
Oh my God. Okay, cool. We're all in the same wave. Wonderful. So, long story short, I have been like this since I was a kid. I remember my first experience seeing a little boy in my room. I was in a crib. I was probably less than 3, and I had this little hippopotamus like kitchen set in the corner of my room, and my parents would come in and turn the light on at like 5 a.m. because we had to get ready to go to the nannies. And I remember my mom came in one day, turned the light on, and then next thing I know, I see this little boy like peeking around this kitchen set. And I remember even as a kid, I'm still traumatized. I can see it like it was yesterday. And I think that's how they kind of define trauma, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I screamed and my mom ran in, and I remember telling her there's somebody in my room. She looked, she showed me there was nobody in the room. She picked up the little toy, moved it around. Clearly there was nobody there. But even as a little kid, I knew something was wrong. Something was different. Yeah. So fast forward to many years later, I was very much like a nerd, like a bookworm, and I would love to go to the bookstore. So instantly my first place to go would be like the Christian section, because I would always want to look at the new Bibles. And I would always find myself in the New Age section, and I would get in so much trouble because my dad was, a deacon of the church.
Yeah.
My parents, Sunday school teachers. That is not a section that we are supposed to be in. That is the devil. That is evil. You stay away from that. That is not what our faith is. And so all of my life, I was taught to believe that if once you're saved, you don't question your faith.
Okay.
You don't question what's on the other side. You don't question, if there's something in scripture that doesn't make sense. It's not, we're not supposed to translate that or interpret that into what we think it is. We're supposed to seek our pastor and say, hey, what does this mean? And how do I apply this to my life?
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I was raised. So when I ended up going to college and kind of breaking free, I still stayed at home. I'm from Dallas, Texas, y'all. I mean, I talk about
I love it.
hello. So I'm just trying to give you guys a backstory. So, it's funny because sidebar here, I saw the Facebook comments and, there's a part of you that I've learned to separate that from the personal Shannon, because people don't know who I am. They don't know my story. They just know what's out there. That's like everybody has an online persona. Let's just say that. But the crazy thing is, like, dude, this is me.
Yeah.
This is all me.
How do you?
I don't have to pretend.
You sound kind of like you're conflicted yourself. You're like, I'm a Christian, but my gosh, you're like Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense. Also, have you been able to kind of rectify both of them together? I am a Jesus following Christian, but I can also see the other side quite clear.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, I explain that to people, and they're like, "Well, you can't do both. You can't say that you're a Christian if you also, talk to dead people." But this is the difference. If you go back, okay, I'm going to take you back to this, guys. The Transfiguration. Okay, remember that Jesus went to the mount to pray.
Mm-hmm.
He was praying. He took his top disciples. He took James, John, and Peter.
Correct.
He only wanted them to witness what was about to happen. They didn't know what was going on. They're like, you know what? We follow you. We trust you. We're going to
alongside Moses and Elias as well.
Yes. And remember, they died in the Old Testament.
Correct.
So how is it possible that Jesus was speaking to two men that were not alive, but there were people there, 3 people that witnessed that? So I look at it as, if Jesus was able to speak to people that are no longer here, that means that, A, I'm not doing anything wrong because I don't see the dark. Let's just get that really super clear. I only see love and light. But if Jesus was able to speak to 2 people that were no longer living, and there were people that witnessed that, then how is what I'm doing any different? Because,
and not that you're comparing yourself to Jesus.
I'm not at all. But I'm saying
I
it's
see
this
what you're
gift.
saying.
It's a gift. I don't think that this is something that I just wanted. Trust me.
It's
To see some little kid in my room that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I mean,
do you think that all of us are born with these types of abilities? We just don't know how to use it. And maybe I don't know how to explain how some people can and some people cannot. I know for myself, I believe that God made us a certain way. And if this is ability you have, it's meant to be. Vic will disagree with me. I don't think it's about devils and demons. And I know myself, I was really sick at one point in the hospital, and I didn't know the woman next to me died. I was in the ICU. I had no idea, but I saw 3 men that were standing at the end of the bed. I saw them. My mother and the nurse didn't see them. And I think because I was at this heightened state of awareness, I was able to see it, because of the condition I was in. I wasn't on medication, so it wasn't a hallucination. But I know that once you see something like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think you have to experience that to be able to say, oh my God, I'm part of the club. I totally get that. Like, Tabitha, that is how it started with me. You saw something that nobody else saw. So how do you have that ability? I think 100% you're born with it. I think some people, I don't know I don't know the right word, but I think some people are designed to be able to have this gift because it brings healing to many people, including myself. But I think also, I think it takes a certain type of person that is willing to go through the utmost suffering, whether that's loss of people in your life, whether that's loss of careers, whether that's just, just shifts in things around you. I think you just get to a point where I feel like my faith is still my faith, but there are parts of my faith that don't align with what I was taught to believe, if that makes sense.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? It's like humans telling you. So my whole thing is this. So my sister just passed away. Might as well tell you. And a person like myself who's not Catholic, but I've been to every Episcopal church. I've been to Pentecostal church.
It's not just Catholic.
Right. It doesn't have to be Catholic. It can be just a non-denominational Christian church where you go and listen to the Word of God through the Bible, and they tell you what it is. But when someone dies, and I would imagine this is where a lot of your business comes from. For me, anyway, I spent a lot of time on YouTube looking at NDE videos, near-death experiences, because I think to a lot of people, that's the game, is that we want to do a good life here on earth, but ultimately we want to be with our family in the afterlife. And I would imagine that that's where a lot of this comes from. And people like myself, who I do consider myself religious, I think the Bible is an amazing teaching book, Doc. And if you can learn it and live your life that way, that's how you do it on earth. But for a lot of people like myself, we've got questions about what goes on afterwards. Are my parents okay? Is my sister okay? Am I going to be okay? Do I have to worry about hell? Do I not worry about? I mean, you know what I'm saying? What is heaven? Is it just flying through the universe? I can't wrap my mind around any of this stuff. Since you're a psychic medium, do you have answers to these questions? Do you know maybe what heaven looks like? Do you know, is there a hell? Is there not a hell? Since you get to see past that little veil of life to death, do you have answers that maybe the rest of us don't have?
I do. And I think that if you're a believer in what I do, I think that if you talk to other people that are like me, you're going to find that a lot of us are out there and all of our stories corroborate, which is interesting because if we don't know each other, how is that possible?
Exactly.
I've seen heaven and I've seen it numerous times, and I always thought it was a dream. And what it looks like is, imagine the most beautiful rolling green hills. It's landscape. It looks like a postcard. Everything's in Technicolor. It's beautiful. It literally looks like, if you can imagine, the old Windows screen that would pop up and it's like the blue sky and the green grass. It's so vivid that you can't help but remember it. But I always equate it to the Wizard of Oz. Everything is so perfectly, the hues are so saturated.
Right.
I don't see buildings, but I see everybody. It's like a family reunion, and it's like they watch our life on a drive-through, like the old school big screens, and they all look like they did at the happiest time in their life. So when they come to me, which is another thing, I don't conjure people. People come to me and I don't know how I know the things that I know about them. These are complete strangers. I don't advertise. Hi, I'm Shannon. I talk to dead people. Like, that's not like the best opening line.
Right.
I mean, I guess maybe if you're at a bar, it's kind of
because they know
cool, but
they know you can hear them. That's why.
But when you say conjure,
when
you say conjure, that's a great question. Can I say to you, hey, my mom passed away. Can you go ring her up for me real quick? Is that possible? Or is it like, nah, she's just not around? How does that work exactly?
Okay. I'm holding back because I told Scott yesterday that there's this man that's been not bothering me, but like hanging around. And I was like, I know it's for somebody on the show. So I told him that, like, you got to chill, dude. And this is how I know. You just said, like, I mean, Eric, did you say, is your dad on the other side?
Shannon, feel free to say, we invited you on. Feel free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if something comes, let it fly. There's
Okay.
Once again, Shannon, just because I may not agree with what you do doesn't mean that I don't agree with your ability to do what
Got it.
you do, or individual's ability, as Tabitha was speaking about, to do this. There are too many examples. There are too many. You're not the first person I've spoken to on this subject in my life. So feel free. I mean, we asked you on, we welcomed you on. We all had to be in agreement. So feel free.
And let me be honest with
Okay.
you. I know that I spoke to Scotty about this, the experience that you gave him. I find high comfort in it. I don't believe that it's a religion. I just believe it's part of the natural world. I really do. There's nothing.
I do too.
There's nothing different about a rock that you find on the ground and the afterlife and spirituality. It's all interconnected. It's just certain people have the ability to see it.
There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
You know,
And I do think you're born with it though. Like I said, I didn't choose to be this way. This is the way I was made.
right?
And so I think there are people that suppress it because they're afraid of it. But I think over time you start to realize, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Like when you say it out loud and somebody says, oh my God, I've never told anybody that, or
Yeah.
that just happened.
Yeah.
I don't know how I know. I see these people, but not like it's almost like I see them like I see you guys on a screen. Like
Yeah.
you're there, but you're on the other side of the veil.
Shannon, nobody on
So-
your show thinks you're crazy or questions your ability to
Well,
do
I've
that.
had my head
I
checked
might
just to let y'all know.
Hold on a second.
Well, you haven't told us that.
No.
I mean, it worked out. They were like, actually, it was surprising because they said I was actually very intelligent. So
Well,
I was like, wow.
Shannon, a friend of mine just texted me and said maybe Shannon's all about love and light because she smokes all that marijuana.
Hey,
I'm
look
telling you,
Did
it
you
changed
just take
my
a drink out
life.
of a champagne
That's
bottle?
what I think it's Perrier.
Oh, it is Perrier. Damn, I was hoping.
Yeah, y'all, I don't
Champagne bottle.
sponsors. No, guys, I don't even drink. Like to just be full disclosure, like I'm sure Scotty knew, but like when I had my record deal and we were, being rock stars, like I went down a really dark path. And I think it got to the point where I had this anxiety and I was like, man. So I went to the doctor. I was like, I'm going to just put me on some pills that make me cool, some Xanax or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then I realized, oh my God, I was taking it just because I just didn't want to feel.
Yeah.
And it got to the point to when I got to LA, I said, I don't want to do this stuff anymore, because when you move out to LA, you start to realize that, man, people out here are just different. It's a different world,
that's right.
man, but it's also a healthier world in terms of, like, man, I was like, dude, where's the fast food? Like, where are the drive-thrus?
Yeah.
You can't, it's not like St. Louis or Dallas where you can go anywhere anytime.
Whataburger.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
You can't.
Like Castles after this,
I mean, they have that stuff, but LA is like a country. It's like, dude, it takes you 45 minutes to go 3 miles. It's
That's
crazy.
one way to put it. It's definitely its own country.
So it's
true.
crazy. So,
Yeah, we used to eat the burgers out of the back of the Whiskey A Go Go.
Well,
oh, see, dude, seriously. I remember peeing behind the trash can because I couldn't find a bathroom. So it's like that's the life.
Hey man, you're peeing on the rainbow. What's
Will
wrong
you
with
guys
that?
will you guys let her talk about the man? Everybody on the comments like,
okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
Let
let's
her
talk
talk
about the man.
Eric.
Okay,
Okay.
so I have a little
So-
insight to this because yesterday we did a little test on the camera to make sure
Right.
everything worked.
Right.
So she gave me some details about this man. So if this is the same man, I don't even know if it is Shannon or not. I will 100% vouch for what she told me yesterday, which has nothing to do. I don't know anything about any of your past relatives. or
I
anything.
don't either. And I make sure I don't look up anything. I even told Scott, I said, don't tell me anything. I said, but there's this man. I said, I'm telling you now as my witness. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, when you guys talk about how do I know, I don't conjure these people. They just come to me. So I go outside and I puff my tweeds and I meditate and I sit out there and I'm just like, spirit, if there's somebody that I'm supposed to help today, bring them to me. I don't look, I don't ask. And for some reason, some way, by some miracle, we always find each other, whether it's in line or, you know, at the grocery store, or somebody calls me and says something and I'm like, oh my God, I was talking to spirit and these are the things that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up being somebody for these people. So I'm going to talk about the man. And I'm sure what happens is this man, whoever this is, if let's say, if it's not for any of you guys, if there's anything that connects, you have to be honest with me and you have to say yes or no. You don't have to go into details.
What you're saying. So,
okay. Because what they do is they'll give me tidbits and lead me in a direction. And then once I get where I need them, they need me to be, they're going to drop the bomb.
Okay.
So that's how it works. It's the path of least resistance. You just have to trust me.
Gotcha.
And you have to be open.
Gotcha.
Just this one time. Vic, not so much you. You can watch, but
they're being very Catholic.
No, Shannon.
you know.
Shannon, I just want, before you do this, and not to keep people on edge, once again, there is no doubt in my mind, because there are people who think that mediums, and she hears it, oh, they're just fake. Most of them are fake, blah, blah, blah.
Or they're demons or whatever, you know what?
No,
yeah.
But if you really think that people want to have to deal with this stuff, think again. They don't want to have to deal with the stuff, as Shannon said. That has never been my point. It's whether or not I should participate in that because of my faith. So don't think anybody that I don't think that what she does and the experiences I've heard are real. So I wanted to give her credibility from that.
Gotcha.
So Shannon, take
Thank
the
you.
stage.
Okay, so this man that's been visiting me, I'm just going to go because he's here right now. He's heavy set. He's got white hair. He looks like he's an athletic director or a coach. Looks like he's dressed from the 80s. He's got the tube socks on and he's wearing blue and white. And I asked his name and the only things that I heard was Buddy and Mac. Does that connect with anybody?
no.
Not
so
me.
far. No.
But maybe somebody on the comment line.
That's
maybe
what I'm
somebody
saying.
comment
This is
line.
what happens. If it doesn't connect with anybody here, just wait because it will connect with somebody. What happens is we can be relays.
It's got tube socks on.
Lisa on the comment line says, oh, no, it's not her dad. I thought she said it was.
No, Lisa said, yeah, no. Oh, yeah, right.
Because what happens is since we're open right now, it's like everybody stands in line. Did you guys see the movie Soul? Did you watch
No.
Soul?
I think so. I see so many movies, they all blend together.
Okay,
Sounds
well,
familiar.
I think it's like a Disney or a Pixar film, but it's these little souls. And when they go up to heaven or like the place where they decide they're going to go, they're all like these little cute little glowing lights,
Oh, yes.
adorable little characters. And they don't get to pick their body. Like some get cats and some get people.
Oh. Is that
So,
how it is? I mean,
you know, so when I see these people, I don't know who they are. That just happens to be the body that they're showing me at that time, which may not relate to you guys, but you guys will be the relay because it will be for somebody watching the show.
yeah.
It always happens that way.
And later
So-
on, somebody be like, that's somebody I know. It might just take somebody time to think about it.
Yeah, it will. And then they talk, whoever this other person is keeps talking about the ducks. So they'll talk about things in real time as well. So for instance, I had a client once that gave me names and I hate the name game because it's like, give me something real. It's like, come on, that's like guessing.
Yeah.
But man, it's always right. And every time I say something, people, they're like, oh my God. Or they're like, I don't know. But then they text me back immediately and they're like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I just confirmed with so-and-so.
Well, when we did our reading, I hadn't spoken to Shannon in almost 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And
no, it was longer than that. I think it was longer than that.
it was 2000, probably nine-ish. And I talked to you in 2020, I guess it was.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yes.
So, her song came on the radio and I hadn't spoken to her. I didn't know if I had her right number anymore. And I just texted her out of the blue and said, hey, how are you? You know, your song came on. I was thinking how you doing? Wasn't anything to do about Weedium. Like, I didn't even know that she was doing this. Had no clue. And I texted her and she's like, oh my God, it's me. How are you? Da, da, da. And I go in and I tell her what's going on. Family's good. My dad passed last year. And she's like, oh my God, really? I'm so sorry. And then she says, well, your dad's still with you. And I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, sure he is. You know, that kind of vibe. And she sends me this text. She goes, I'm serious. He wants to know how your new truck is, was her text message to me. And I'm looking at this text message. I'm going, shut up.
Yeah.
I had just bought a truck the day before.
Booyah!
And it was a truck that my father and I were talking about buying before he passed for my business. So that immediately hit me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you might not believe me now, but I had an awakening and I'm a medium. And she's like, I'm shaking and crying. Can you call me? Can you talk? So I'm pulling into Sam's wholesale club.
Right.
So I get out and I'm buying stuff for a party for my daughter. And I'm walking through Sam's and she's doing a reading about, and we're catching up and doing the reading. And she was spot on. There were some of the things that she said were confirmations to me that it was my father. As far as his father being there to cross him over was one of his big things, saying, hey, he always said, I can't wait to see my dad again. Can't wait to see my dad. That was his thing. And to hear that.
And I never knew that. We never talked about that.
Well, why would we? There was no reason for us to talk about that.
I think that's wild. Shannon, can you elaborate on the ducks? I might be far reaching here, but right before my brother passed away, as a matter of fact, the very last thing he did before he went into the hospital and died back just here in September is I took him to a lake and we fed a bunch of ducks.
Oh my God. His name's not Doug, is it?
No.
Okay.
And he doesn't look like the guy you saw. And I know a lot of times we want things to fit.
No, but I'm telling you, this is it though. This is it, because this is your brother then. I didn't know he wasn't here. If I describe the guy that I see, can you tell me if it's him?
Sure.
Obviously, because I don't know how he's going to come to me. Was he older than you?
Younger.
Okay, because he's got kind of, this guy that I see is kind of skinny and tall, and he's got kind of longish dark hair. It's kind of messy.
Yeah,
and he's really... It's not him?
No.
Okay.
So I believe, now that we all have our own personal beliefs. I absolutely believe that our family is always around us. Maybe not all the time, but they're always around somewhere and they pop in and out. Maybe we know, maybe we don't know. And so whenever you talk about these things, I just feel like these people come to you because they know you can hear them and they so desperately want to be heard.
Yeah, and they're just trying to help me figure out how to get to their people.
Yeah. Exactly.
So for me, it's like I'm trying to decipher a puzzle, man. It's like dropping water in water and trying to figure out where that piece is going. It's like, man.
So there is somebody on the chat line. Amy says that her grandfather wore those kind of socks. He was a lifelong member of the Missouri Athletic Club, abbreviated MAC.
Right.
Yeah, the MAC.
Very athletic. He was an accountant. And I believe shows me numbers on my phone, etc. His nickname was Barney or Bud.
That's him. Hello. Dad says hi.
Amy.
Grandfather.
Wild.
Yeah. Grandfather.
Or grandfather. That's him. He was like, you know how long it's been since I've been trying to get a hold of you?
And Amy's a big part of our show on the Facebook.
See,
line.
This is why, guys. I'm telling you, that's her grandpa. Wow. See the names, you guys. I just have to go with it. I have to trust.
That's pretty spot on. I
have to just trust. And if I have learned that if I don't just go with it, I will miss it. So I don't question it anymore. I don't try to justify. Shannon, you're imagining this. When I hear the voices talk to me, yes, I hear voices. It's like I'm talking to you guys. We have conversations.
Yeah.
They talk to me about my business. They talk to me about my career. They talked to me about this show, and they told me last night, they were like, don't sweat it. Just be you. And if it's meant to be that somebody connects from the other side, they're gonna give you the message. They always do.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the movie The Sixth Sense when the little boy goes, I see dead people.
Yeah.
The ending scene of that movie.
And on a serious note, and all the time.
Yeah.
Well, when at the end of that, when he's talking to his mom in the car, and the guy or the lady that got killed on the bike in the accident when they're sitting in traffic, and she's at the outside the window, and then he starts.
Oh, that's creepy though.
Her mom, and you go to visit the grave, and oh my God, that last scene of Sixth Sense.
I don't like having my hair stand up like this on end.
My neck's doing it right now.
Yeah, you guys, this is still creepy for me. Like I am so humbled. I will never get used to this. This will never be normal.
Yeah.
It will never be normal.
But I'm a religious person, people. I am. I'm sorry to tell you that. I consider myself religious. But I will say there's nothing more comforting, Vic or Tabitha or anybody in this room, that when you hear a medium say, your sister just came to me, she's okay. And then she says that one little nugget that only she might know.
Right.
And then from that point forward, you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. There's no amount of religion that can take that give you that kind of comfort.
And it is comfort people seek.
It's comfort what people seek. And Shannon, I love the way about you. And I know you've had to answer questions like this in the past. And I wanted to let you speak, you marinate what you do. And we gave enough time to do this. And Eric brings up, this is a great point from a religious standpoint. And this is where I know you have answered these questions, and I don't feel like I'm putting you on the spot, so you can give your account of it. When Eric brings up the religious standpoint, and you say that you're a Christian, and once again, there's no doubt in my mind that you have something, because other people that I've talked to,
Yes.
medians, I couldn't, in my best judgment and intuition, I couldn't imagine people just making up this career. I don't know. I'm going to go do this.
You can't. How do you learn? How do you teach this?
So once again, for me, it's real. People can do it. I just choose to stay away. But what do you say? Because I know people, I'll just get into it. When it comes to scripture and biblical teaching from early times, when people bring up, Leviticus 19:31, do not turn to medians, do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 26, if a person turns to medians, quote, whoring after them, I will set my face against that person, will not cut him off from among his people. There's like 20 scriptural verses, biblically speaking. How do you, manifest that, and then what you do growing up as a Christian and calling yourself a Christian as well?
Mhm.
Having this, and I call it a skill, a gift that you've been given. Maybe sometimes you even call it a curse because of what you deal with on a daily basis.
That's a good question.
I get asked this by my dad all the time. So, I'm still convinced he thinks I'm burning in hell. So
Really?
Well,
yeah.
I don't know your dad. I love your dad for caring about you, but he can't say that, nor can I.
And he's my dad. He loves me. He knows that. I think deep down, he knows that there's no way that I could know certain things. But when it comes to what scripture says, all I can say is this is something that I've been blessed with, and I chose to suppress it for many years. And once I have been okay with saying, okay, if this is my testimony, this is my calling, then I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah.
Some people are called to ministry. Some people are called to be, Sunday school teachers. I was called to help people heal.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Lisa said, Vic, you're assuming that medians want this life. No, I just said, I think maybe she jumped in before I had a chance to say it. The medians that I've talked to besides Shannon don't want that. In some senses, it can be a torment because you're like, hey, what the hell is this? Why am I this way? And I just had one other question I would ask you, because some people can't get on the Facebook line, but they're intrigued by you. And because you spoke of being able to see heaven.
Yes.
And have you had an ability to see Jesus Christ?
If I talk about that, I sound crazy.
No, you don't.
So I'm going to sound crazy.
Your detractor. No, your detractors would already think you're crazy. So there's nothing else.
Exactly. I spoke to Jesus last night. I said, why do I speak to this is where it gets crazy, because it's like, why do I need to speak to Jesus when I can just speak directly to God? So I call all of that spirit. So I had a conversation with spirit, and he sat down with me and he said, everything's going to be okay. You are going to say what you need to say. And, there are going to be people that like you and people that don't.
What spirit, you brought this up earlier. What spirit do you pray to or talk to that you said earlier last night when you went out and started talking?
I specifically saw Jesus, but then I said, I want to talk to God. So I talked to God.
So that's what you meant when you said you went out and spoke to the spirit?
Yep. When I say spirit, though, I say that means God.
Okay.
But specifically, I was talking about the whole transfiguration because I said, how do I justify this?
Yes. Let me
You know,
ask
that it's hard. I can't.
when you so is the Bible, obviously Jesus knows it was written by man. Does everything that you're doing, talking to the other side, is the Bible completely just? Do you feel like the Bible is like, man, the Bible is exactly accurate and it lines up with
Nope.
Okay.
This is where people are like, Shannon, you are not a Christian. I'm like, I am saved. And the Bible does say that you cannot lose your salvation.
Okay.
So doesn't say that I can't change a little bit of what I believe. I mean, I guess it kind of does, but I don't think that makes me a bad person.
Okay.
So what was the question again? This is what happens when you smoke weed.
The Bible, when you look at the Bible as a manual for man to get.
Oh, yes.
Do they line up? Are they both square?
No, the Bible was written by men 2,000 years ago, and the only books that made it into the Bible were the people that had the power behind it. It's no different than today. It's politics and religion. Nothing has changed. It's all about the power.
Well,
absolutely.
And exactly. And
No,
and that's, we're adults. We can
look
agree
here.
to
The reason I
disagree.
asked that, Vic,
And it's not literal. People take it so literal, and it's like it's not literal.
Yeah,
Shannon,
this is important.
Shannon, I will agree with you to some extent on that. No,
I
I mean,
like,
look at the evangelicals that take
inspired
advantage
word.
of people.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, it's like this. Am I a bad person for looking at a story like Noah's Ark and going, I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around a planet that was completely submerged in water except for one little boat
Watch
flying
Ancient
around.
Apocalypse. It's
Okay,
actually
well,
proven
so am I?
scientific.
Okay, well, see, there you go.
There you go.
Eric.
And am I?
Our
am I?
Earth is millions of years old. And
Exactly.
Eric, it is.
Yeah.
And
So are you
biblically speaking?
Yeah.
If you go into the start, if you're going to speak straight biblical, there was no exact time when we started. And that gets into a whole matter where if you believe in God, you have to believe in the devil, and God created it. Our human minds can't comprehend, can't even. We try to put God into our brains.
I'm not trying to be blasphemous, by the way.
I'm
just saying these are questions that I have when I'm in a Starbucks going, I gotta wrap my mind around 2 giraffes on a boat along with everything else.
What Shannon says, I absolutely believe is 100% correct. The Bible has been rewritten so many times. Pieces are added, pieces are left out.
That's not true.
I believe it's true. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And I think that along the lines, people have always sought power. And I do think that whoever was in power at these different times made it to be whatever they wanted to control the people at the time. Now, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Bible. But I do think that what we see is not literally in the Bible. I don't think it's
really.
No. I think it's an interpretation by many different people that have come together and put into, but I do think pieces have been left out, pieces have been added over the years.
A lot of people think the Bible is
but you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, well, hold on.
I'm not sure what you mean.
A lot of people think that the Bible is only the read parts of the Bible, only the parts where Jesus has spoken. They think that
I believe that.
They think that the Old Testament stuff, that's for the Jews, and the Revelation stuff is for the crazies, and only only thing you have to watch in the Bible is what Jesus said, period. And there's a lot of people that are like, a lot of Christians are like, no, from Genesis all the way through Revelations, that's it.
Dude,
so
how is that possible though? How can I say this then? Can I say this? This is so controversial. How in the hell does a woman get pregnant by nothing? Like, explain me that.
Oh, that's a big part of Christianity, that's for sure.
Well, that's where I'm saying it's like, how can I be split?
That's where the faith comes in.
Yep.
And that's where God comes in, because without faith, you have nothing. And I understand your point from where you're coming from. I mean, that's.
But do you see how at some point my faith was shooketh, because I'm like, wow, how can I be both?
Well, but A connects to B, B connects to C. Why do you believe there's God?
Because how can I have this gift without somebody much bigger than me, some greater power, some
you
source?
Believe in God? Do you believe Jesus was his son?
Yes, in a obviously
how would God
well,
put
But aren't
the
we all?
savior of our world?
Aren't we all the
Okay.
sons and daughters
Sinful-
of?
No.
okay, this is where I get confused then,
special.
because maybe I don't believe that anymore. Maybe Jesus was a medium. I think Jesus was a medium.
Jesus prophesied, but I don't know if we can compare ourselves to Jesus.
No, I'm
all
just
sons
saying.
of-
But Shannon, I totally, you know what?
I
There's no
can't
doubt you have a
explain.
gift. No, there's no doubt you have a gift. 100%. I hope people can see you have a gift. And I hate it if everybody says, "Oh, they don't, they're fakes and phonies."
But you know what? That's okay though. Let those people believe what they believe, because I respect that. I respect that because I was there too. And I would look at people like me and be like, "Oh, no, that's crazy. That's
It's a crazy time we're living in. I would love to get your opinion on this. It's a crazy time we're living in when we have TikTok videos of paranormal activity, of high definition cameras catching ghosts on what's a fake, what's not a fake. Everything we're talking about is almost the same. There's no way this could be a fake video, but this could be a fake video. Christianity, how do you resolve the Old Testament, but you're still a Christian, blah, blah, blah. We're all searching for the path, it seems like, of how to live our life in a moral way. And number two, is my parents okay when they pass away? But that's really what a lot of this stuff comes down to.
And keep in mind, we are all sinners.
That's a heartstrings thing.
Yeah, we are all sinners. Yes.
What's wrong with that? Why can't spirituality just be a good man? Affinity,
No, I have no problem
infinity.
with that we don't always get everything that we want in this life, and if we were supposed to, I mean, that's what heaven is supposed to be all about.
It's like Emerson and Thoreau used to write. Why don't you just simplify your damn life? You'll be happier, you'll find love, and you won't have to worry about all this stuff. And that's kind of how I feel. It's like, if you guys just simplify and live inside the confines of the human brain, which doesn't understand the universe to save its life, you'll be a happy person. You'll be able to love people, and then you'll get to the other side.
Amen.
And we can talk about that more later. But right now, while we have Shannon, I want to ask, can I ask her a question?
Sure.
Yes.
I know we're almost out of time. Shannon, I'm so curious because I met someone a long time ago who told me that people came to them and talked to them and tried to wake them up in their sleep. And that they would hear conversations between different people that had nothing to do with them. The conversations would be going on, and even people in different languages would be speaking to them. And I'm just curious if any of that happens to you.
100%. I was driving through Nashville at one point, and there was nobody on the road with me. My radio was off, and all of a sudden it sounded like somebody was turning an old radio dial. I could hear all these conversations, and they would get louder. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I need to up my meds. Maybe this is anxiety. Called my doctor. She's like, are the voices telling you to do anything bad? You need to come see me. And I was like, no. And then I realized, oh my God, this is something different. So yes, I hear them. I get woken up at night. Not that long ago, I was asleep, and I have an almost 8-year-old daughter, and like 2:30 in the morning, I hear, mommy. So I turn around thinking she's standing at my bed and there's nobody there. So I get up and go check, and she's sound asleep. Then other times I've heard people talking in my kitchen, and I come out here and there's nobody here. But then when I go to bed at night, almost when I'm like in that dream state, but still asleep, because I always check the time. That's like my reality check.
Okay.
And I start hearing all these conversations, and I have to say, not tonight. Like, Spirit, just let me sleep tonight. I'll help people tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when you're most open. Your mind is clear. You're in that kind of that peaceful state where everybody wants to connect because they know you're shut down for the day.
Shannon, we're speaking with Shannon Roc out of California, a median, or the Weedium, as
Yes,
we affectionately say. Do you ever worry, because you say you're all about light and love?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get dark and hate?
Never.
When it comes,
Great question. That's a fantastic.
That is a great question, because obviously, if there's a heaven, I do believe there's a hell too. I've never seen it. I'm assuming it exists because I can't talk to anybody that's I don't talk to like the murderers. I don't talk to the bad people. I can only talk to the good people.
Oh man. Show by itself.
I don't see the dark. I can't tell somebody. People are like, oh, I don't want to see a medium because, oh my God, they're going to tell me I'm going to die. Like, I don't see that stuff. I only see, I do see the future. I do see things, and I will say things that haven't happened yet. And then I'll get a call like a week later and they're like, oh my God, remember the text message or remember the things we talked about in the recording. Here's proof. So I see things in real time. Guys, I wish there was empirical evidence to justify this, because I wish that I could just look at a piece of paper and debunk everything.
Shannon, trust me, that's how I feel about knowing
I try.
God is real, that Jesus is real, and that his mom was a sinless vessel that God used. I wish I could show you other proof, but I can't, which is where the faith comes in.
It does. You're right.
Yeah,
Vic.
you're right.
Yeah. Do you
You're
feel
right.
you feel comfort in your religion?
Yeah.
Do you
Me or Vic?
Vic?
Well, he knows.
No, Vic, do you feel comfortable? Are you like
100, yeah,
my
100%.
religion answers every question?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's all that matters.
And because
That's
that's,
really all
that's
that
where the
matters.
faith comes in from
Yep.
that standpoint.
Amen, man.
Yeah, and that's what I say. I'm just as convicted in what I believe as you are in what you believe, Vic.
Yeah.
It's the same.
That's why there were some people like, well, you can't have a medium. I was like, yes, I can.
Yeah,
I
you
can. We
can.
can talk. We can talk and find out where we are. And it's because I've had experiences of having a chance to speak with other mediums and know that, yeah, there's something there, because you may have one or two people out there trying to mess with people. But as I already told you why I wasn't on board, it wasn't because I don't believe that you have this gift. I did have one question though, and that was when it comes to, I've also had the opportunity to speak with two exorcist priests.
Oh wow.
One from the Vatican and one local from California, when I was introducing them at something called the Linton Symposium in Michigan. And both of them were, and I don't know why you would, I'm curious on your take, both said, stay away from connecting with spirits. It's something that you don't want to mess with. What is your response to that?
I think that stay away from demons, stay away from the dark side, stay away from the things that are going to open you up, I believe, to the dark. I don't mess with that. I don't play with Ouija boards. I don't try to conjure people. I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no.
Yeah, no doubt. Stay away from those Ouija boards, man. I'm serious.
Can I turn it on a lighter note before we had Shannon, you were a rock star?
Maybe in a past life.
Nobody wants to ever admit to that.
Well, no, seriously.
that
I
was
mean,
long,
Shannon, you're very well spoken. You have a great way about you. You're a pretty lady. Why? Where were you, or where was your music, or what was the song? Because I don't know. I didn't get this from.
It's okay, dude. Nobody knows who I am. It's all good.
But I want to.
Yeah.
You know,
I have.
I'm actually going to be releasing new music next year under Shannon Roc, but all the old stuff, if you can find it, still, I'm trying to scrub that shit gone.
Where's what band are you doing this solo, or you got a band out there in LA?
I'm a producer and songwriter, so I write for a lot of the major label artists. I write for TV and film, so a lot of the commercials you see, I've probably written a lot of the music for it. The TV shows, that's kind of
so cool. That was my favorite class in college, by the way.
What?
Really?
Composing?
Yes. No, commercial writing.
It's amazing.
Copywriting. This is something. So are you doing copywriting, or are you actually?
I'm actually writing and singing the music, writing for artists. Like I just wrote with a Warner artist that we're debuting her. I think her album next spring, probably.
My old drummer won a Chloe for Oscar Mayer Wiener.
I'm telling you guys the sync writing. That's where the money is. I watched just the other day. There was a rerun for a Purina cat food commercial. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That's so weird.
That's really cool.
I'm like, God, I know this song. This is a cover.
Yeah.
And then and then I'm like, oh shit, that's me.
Music, you're far more famous than anything Kanye's ever done.
What year was it that we got the record deal at Universal? Was it 2008?
It was technically, we started talking to them early 2007. We were signed within 9 months, which is unheard of.
Wow.
Yeah, we were working in the studio and writing songs, and we actually reached out to a friend of ours from Capitol Records at the time, Mark Nathan, and he had sent us this song that was recorded previously. He's like, I know this song's a hit, and it just didn't get its shot, and it turns out it didn't get its shot again, but it was called Buses and Trains. So we immediately took the song. I think we recorded it in like 2 days.
Did. Yeah.
And sent it out to the labels, and within a week, we had major labels calling and going and doing showcases in New York and California, and it
This
it
just,
went
man,
super
blew up
fast
so
once
fast.
Well, Shannon's underselling herself, according to
I
some of
know.
our listeners who've already looked up your stuff and think that you're pretty talented and
Yeah.
good.
Oh man, thanks guys.
Hey, we got a Modern Day Zero reunion coming up.
Yeah, yeah, crazy Scott. Like I told him, I was like, dude, you look like, are you a vampire? Because you seriously don't age. This is crazy.
Except for the beard gets gray.
He sent me a picture from the Modern Day Zero, like the tribute show to Jeff. R.I.P. Jeff, man. We love you. But I was like, dude, I'm thinking, is this a picture from 2007? And then I realized, oh my God, he's a vampire.
Look, hey, Roc is on the line right now. Roc, Scott Davis, our buddy.
Oh my God, Roc.
Yeah, look at that.
I was just thinking about him, man. That's amazing.
We don't get to see him because he's on tour with every band on the planet.
I know. He's the rock star, guys. He's the one y'all need to be like talking to.
You know, that's right.
Well, how can we find out more about you if people are interested in what you do? Do you have some sort of a website? Because I know you could do this clearly over the phone or Zoom.
Yeah, you can reach me at Shannon@theweedium.com.
I have
you can also find me at on Instagram. Easiest way to find me as well, just at the Weedium. Nice. Super easy.
If you talk to my sister, tell her I need to know where the keys are from.
Her name's not Susan, is it?
No, it's definitely not Susan.
Okay, good.
So I want Shannon and Eric to do a reading, like, because I think there's just too much pressure with everybody being here. I want them to focus. So. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, a million people are trying to talk right now. So
and Tabitha would like to do one as well.
Yeah.
I think Amy on the chat line that her grandfather who came through potentially with the Mac and the Buddy. She would like to speak to you, and she also spoke to me last night about wanting to speak to you about an old case here in Missouri. That she's part of a team working on.
I saw that. I love that.
I've got 3 texts as well. I'll pass those along to you as well, Shannon.
Shannon, you're going to be so busy after this show because so many people I saw at our cancel this kickoff party last night. They're already asking how they can get a hold of you. So that's perfect.
That's amazing. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for getting up with us. Have a great day. All right.
You too. You guys take care.
All right. Shannon Roc, though, we appreciate her coming in today and joining us from
the new music, man. I'm serious. I love new music. I'm going to go check that out right now.
She sends me some stuff that
how'd you guys meet in the first place again?
She was playing in a band in St. Louis. She was like kind of a backup singer. She did like tambourine stuff and did like female vocals for a band. On Tracy Lane, I think was the name of the band.
Definitely heard them.
So, and then she wanted to break off and go solo. At the time, we had a recording studio, and I was managing and producing bands. Shot with Richie, Crybomb, our bass player. So we had like Shaman's Harvest and Cavo and Brooke Royal, and Shannon came into the mix. We asked Brandon Holland, who was a country artist, and for something with Shannon, it just clicked, and then shortly after, Cavo clicked as well and hit Warner Brothers. So
St. Louis we had
a nice little run.
I like Schmidt. I like her. She's got a great disposition.
I knew you would, and I didn't think it was good. It's not going to be. I didn't think it was going to be demonic at all because I just know her and her personality,
and I know you,
and she's it really comes from love and life for her, and she doesn't know what to do with it. She does what she can with it. I mean,
she probably feels like it's a burden.
In that conversation we were having, I don't know if you felt it, but there's a lot of apprehension on how to vocalize what you were trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
you didn't want to be blasphemous. You didn't. We're humans.
We don't want to offend people.
We're dumbass human beings, guys, and we're trying to figure out the questions to the universe, and we're all trying to use our religion. And we're trying to use our upbringing and what we believe and what we need to get rid of as far as belief goes. And I think we're coming into this. I think the human brain is starting to become enlightened in a lot of people. I really do. I think that
some people, and it's, I don't know,
enlightened
kind of a little bit of both.
We're going to start another hour show here.
I know. But their third eye, the ability to see and use parts of their brain that maybe we weren't doing way back.
We only use a very tiny portion of our brain. I think so many of us, if we could open ourselves up and be open to things, we would have a lot more folks like Shannon out there who are talking to people and different things going on. I know we're out of time today, but I really hope, because we did not have time to talk about it, I really hope next week, if we have a few moments, we can come back and talk about today and talk about if anyone's viewpoint changed, how we felt about Shannon.
Mine is.
I would just really like to talk about.
I'm like water right now. I am literally continuously changing, and everything that here's the great takeaway. Here's the great takeaway. every bit of research that I've done, no matter what you got, what you're interested in, comes back to love and light. And why don't you go out and try to help somebody today? That's what it all comes back down to. On all the research that I've seen, it's not about sitting and reading the Bible all day long. It's about, why don't you go sit under a tree?
But you've opened up
Be
a whole can
quiet.
of worms that you don't even realize what you're saying. Though, Eric.
Wow.
We don't have time.
We don't
to
have.
get
That's
into
why
it.
I want to
That's
talk
why-
about it
Great. Now I'm going to
week.
be scared all weekend long.
No,
Thanks,
we'll
Vic.
I'll get into it with you on Monday.
We
or
have
next
to
Friday.
talk about it next week because there's so many offshoots to these topics that we have to
But
talk
I
about.
will remind you of one thing. Don't ever forget the devil comes as light. It doesn't come as dark. We
How's that, boss?
appreciate
Ooh, ominous.
we appreciate you being with Cancel This. Guys, it's the end of the year already. We're 5 weeks
I
in.
forgot.
This was our last show. We're going to come back and it's going to be 2023. And we appreciate everybody who came out to the party last night. We are rocking and rolling. Continue to share the show. CancelThisShow.com. CancelThisShow.com. And continue to share it. We're off and running. We're having a blast. We got stuff going. Scott has the studio looking great. You sound great. And I'm just grateful, guys. Grateful as we
And
have
Scotty,
We all have something to be grateful for.
Man, Scotty knocked it out of the park with the studio stuff yesterday.
Yes, yes,
Not-
yes.
nailed
he
it.
did.
And
It looks
guys,
fantastic.
Looks
again.
good.
And whatever
I
you're
was
doing-
determined, and he goes, even Vic, he goes, "You're a perfectionist, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." When it comes to this stuff,
And
Yeah.
it looks
the man.
I try to
amazing.
be. It's a challenge.
Whatever you guys are doing for the new year, happy new year. Be safe. Have a great new year. And we'll see. Are we going to do a show Monday?
Don't we have a guest Monday?
Yeah, we have to do a show.
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
that's
Wait,
right.
wait. What? So New Year's Day is Sunday, and we're going to come back here and do a show on Monday.
You demand a day off? Are you a
I
liberal
don't
now?
demand-
Well, I
anything.
was told we had a day off.
Yeah, I initially said that. Then we set somebody. You know what?
I forgot it was a holiday.
do you not?
Don't look at me
What
like
do you
that.
do? Do you have any plans for New Year's Eve?
No. My
Yeah.
life is so darn boring.
TV in bed by about 10:30.
I forgot it was New Year, so Vic just said something.
Jeez.
Oh, Vic just
Let me
remembered
decide.
it's New Year's Eve. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Well, I don't have any plans. This is
Oh,
plan.
a collective. Oh,
anyway, no, I trust me, I'm good. I'd be happy sleeping this year. I'm exhausted.
man.
We'll figure it out. We'll let
yeah.
you know. That's what's great about this podcast, and I apologize for that. Hey guys, have a great Friday too. For Scott Gherkin, Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. Thanks again to Dr. Joel Kahn, who was an amazing guest.
Yes.
And of course, Shannon Roc. Guys, have a great day. Remember to share the show. Cancel this. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Get